to give a little to get a lot. Sometimes if we just give a little, we're going to reap the benefit by bringing a lot here. Because if you look at, what just the city of Nashville or even just Tennessee, there's a lot of people moving here daily. There's 90 people a day, so that's bringing more people. So you got to have more attractions. Just imagine, just the thought of the Tennessee Titans hosting a Super Bowl. You don't think that's going to bring in a lot of revenue? You don't think a lot of people's going to come downtown, even if they're not going to the game, just to be around the stadium? I think it's going to benefit everybody. I know it's going to be a little sacrifice at the beginning, but I think in the long run, it's going to make everybody better, and everybody's going to have a win-win situation.
And I don't disagree with you because I'm a sports fan, obviously.
Yeah.
So obviously, I look at a new stadium and I'm like, woo, yeah, this is awesome.
But it's a lot into it.
It's a lot that goes into it, and it could be a Super Bowl, it could be a college football playoff, it could be a Final Four.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean, and concerts and so many things that a dome stadium could bring.
Yep.
And from the league, I mean, you're almost guaranteed a Super Bowl, but from there, I mean, a $2 billion stadium, the city doesn't rake in $2 billion on a single Super Bowl. I mean, you have to be almost guaranteed, and none of these events are guaranteed. You just build the stadium and hope that they come.
Yeah, and I think they will come. I mean, just because the Tennessee Titans are not say the Tennessee Titans, but Nashville is hosting a Super Bowl. I mean, because look at when you talk about stadiums that people talk about all the time. What's the number one stadium they talk about? Dallas.
Why?
Atlanta, L.A.,
the Superdome,
absolutely.
L.A., Vegas.
But look at how when you go to the stadium, it's like, oh my gosh, this is incredible. If the Tennessee Titans do something like that, it's going to bring so many people, and it's going to bring the attention to not just the Super Bowl, but attention to the Tennessee Titans. So it's a win-win situation. Just like you said, I don't know about bonds. I don't know about all those things. I know there's a lot of work that actually goes into that. But at the end of the day, if we can just get everybody on the same page, everybody work together and say, you know what? Let's don't have no resistance, because if we have resistance, it's going to take longer. But if we just come together as one and make this thing work, I'm telling you, it's going to benefit so many people, and not just the Tennessee Titans.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't think that there's anyone that could argue that this would be a bad thing.
Yeah.
Once it's built up and once downtown is bustling,
oh my God.
and once it's built and the Titans are playing in there, it is undoubtedly going to be a step up from the current Nissan Stadium, which it's a piece of crap. It's our piece of crap, but it's a piece of crap. I mean, and that just instantly elevates everything around that area.
Yeah.
But there are two big hitches in this situation that was pointed out on the Dan Manda Show today with Cameron Sexton, again, the House Speaker for the Tennessee House of Representatives. One, retractable roof, according to this discussion earlier today, retractable roof is the plan, which I love. That's the best of both worlds for a couple of reasons. One, I mean, half of the Tennessee Titans season you can play outside.
Absolutely.
It's beautiful outside.
Absolutely.
Two, I think of in my football mind, and I'm sure as a wide receiver you would appreciate this as well.
Yeah.
A retractable roof allows the field to be real grass.
Oh, yeah. I love real grass. Thank you for real grass.
I look at Derrick Henry, for example.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean,
Yeah.
Lucas Oil has real grass. I don't know if Derrick Henry breaks his foot.
But you know what? The new field turf is not as bad, and this is just my opinion. I think the turf that they have right now is safer than grass. Because I know that's kind of wild, but we have turf at our football field at Montgomery Bell, and it's the same as it is in Lucas Field. I just think it's more safer because it gives a little more than grass. I played on both of them. I played on that, and I played on the grass, and actually I played on that old turf that's just like rug. It's just my opinion, and I may be wrong, but I love the field turf that they have right now because I think it's safer and it gives more than grass.
I don't know, Chris. I lolook at two people. I look at Derrick Henry and Odell Beckham Jr.
Yep, yeah. I agree with you, 92.7357%. I agree with that. But the reason why Odell Beckham maybe hurt his knee, because I kind of watched the film over, is he turned his body a certain way and his knee just wouldn't give. And that's just a tough situation. The situation with Derrick Henry, he has so much power. It didn't matter if it was on grass, turf, in somebody's backyard. It's just the power that he cuts with that ankle couldn't handle. So, I mean, I agree with you. I agree with you 96.7%. But I just think field turf is just a little bit safer.
But if the retractable roof was the plan,
right,
real grass and turf are at least both on
absolutely.
the table. But there's another caveat here when we talk about how great a new Titan Stadium would be and how much it would bring into the city of Nashville. That one question still remains: how is it going to be paid for? Of course, the state is offering up $500 million. That only scratches the surface of what is going to be needed to pay for that stadium. The Adams family, ultimately, would probably fit the bill. What's the Adams family plan? We'll get into that coming up next. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. If you have a thought, what do you think about the Titans' new stadium? What would you feel about the Titans, playing with this self-tax zone? If it didn't affect your tax dollars, are you for it? We'll get into that coming up next. Stillman & Company, we're live on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Here they come, turn 4.
Hey, it's Chase McCabe. Join me for Chasing Checkers every Sunday morning at 8 as we talk all the big stories in NASCAR, IndyCar, and the motor racing world. We'll also talk to some of the big names in the sport. It's Chasing Checkers, presented by Apple Collision Centers, Bristol Motor Speedway, and the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway on ESPN 102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
At the Law Office of Amanda J. Gentry, we are committed to defending your rights. We have a team committed to helping you navigate the court system, whether you've been accused of a crime or you're going through a messy divorce and custody. Call our team to help you navigate this system. We are here to protect your rights, to demand your rights, to enforce your rights. 615-604-6263. 615-604-6263. AmandaJGentry.com.
Shine down in 3, 2, 1.
Cut the car!
The hottest rock band on the planet, Shine Down. May 4th, Bridgestone Arena.
It's about to get...
With special guests, The Pretty Reckless and Diamante. Shine Down. Tickets are on sale now at the box office and Ticketmaster.com. Presented by 102.9 The Buzz, Nashville's rock station.
To understand what makes Genesis Diamonds so different than other jewelry stores, you have to go back over 40 years to the diamond cutting capital of Tel Aviv, Israel. That's where Genesis owner Boaz Ramon grew up, in the center of the diamond universe. His connections with the best diamond cutters allowed him special access, giving rise to a thriving wholesale business here in the United States. Then, after a few years, this wholesaler changed the game and started selling these precious diamonds direct to the public at the same prices he had sold to the jewelry stores. The no middleman concept became an instant success. Today, Genesis Diamonds provides that extraordinary value to people right here in Middle Tennessee, leading the industry with the highest quality diamonds that still come straight from the best cutters, offered at the guaranteed best price of any jewelry store in America. Genesis Diamonds, a truly revolutionary concept with a unique history rooted in quality, committed to excellence, and always focused on value. Genesis Diamonds, now with a stunning Omega Watch Boutique, Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Hey, Darren McFarland here. I want to tell you about this new social sports betting app I've been loving called Wager, W-A-G-R. Rather than betting against the house, Wager lets you bet with other people in Tennessee. It can be your friends, co-workers, or even me. As a special promo for ESPN 102.5 The Game listeners, if you're over 21, go to wager.me/DMAC, and you'll get free wagers that you can use to challenge me. That's WAGR.me/DMAC. Join me and challenge your community, not the house. Please play responsibly. Call 1-800-889-9789 for help.
My heart was racing just making spaghetti. I could have waited to tell my doctor, but I didn't wait.
I was short of breath just reading a book. I could have delayed telling my doctor, but I didn't wait.
They told their doctors and found out they have atrial fibrillation, a condition which makes it about 5 times more likely to have a stroke. If you have one or more of these symptoms, irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness, this is no time to wait. Contact your doctor.
Brought to you by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
If you've missed any of today's show, just search Stillman & Company on Apple, Spotify, or your favorite podcast platform.
Stillman & Company. Caroline Fenton joined by Chris Sanders filling in for Jared Stillman today. Now, Cameron Sexton, who is the Tennessee Speaker of the House, was on a local radio show today talking about the developments of a Titans' new stadium. And we've established, and I don't think anyone would disagree with the fact that this would be huge for the city of Nashville. This would be huge for the Tennessee Titans to have a new home, and it would be a huge opportunity for Nashville to host some of sports and even just entertainment's biggest events.
Yeah.
You're looking at concerts, you're looking at awards shows, you're looking at the Super Bowl.
What?
You're looking at the Final Four. You're looking at a lot of opportunities.
Yeah.
So, you look at what could be, and it seems incredibly attractive. But, don't you hate it whenever the nitty-gritty things get in the way of all your fun?
Yeah.
Because finances are a legitimate reason or a legitimate thing that could get in the way of this new Titans stadium. Now, the state of Tennessee has already said that they are willing to put forward $500 million into this new stadium. And we look at Los Angeles, for example, because LA, the city of LA and the state of California said, we don't care about a new Rams stadium. So they got no funding from the state of California.
That's wild.
Took out a loan from the NFL. The NFL owners approved a $500 million fund loan to the Los Angeles Rams in order to build their new stadium, which was $5 billion. So that's probably what we can expect. If the Titans do need to take out a loan from the NFL, you're looking at about I said billion, I meant million. $500 billion is a lot of money.
Yeah.
$500 million is still a lot of change,
Right,
but not
it
nearly
is,
as much.
absolutely.
$500 million from the NFL owners. So you're looking at $500 million from the state of Tennessee. You're looking at about probably around, let's go with $500 million from the NFL. And then who else plays a role into this stadium? The Adams family, the owners of the Tennessee Titans. Now, I don't want to pocket watch, as our good friend Ladarius accused Jared of doing earlier on. I don't want to pocket watch the Adams family. But, I look at Stan Kroenke, for example, building that $5 billion stadium, because Stan Kroenke is worth billions and billions and billions of dollars. Stan Kroenke is one of the, if not the richest owner in the NFL. You look at Buffalo, for example, who is also going to build a new stadium or wants to build a new stadium. They're looking at a price tag at about $1.2 billion.
Jeez.
A cheaper stadium, but a richer owners, the Pagula family. They're worth billions and billions of dollars. The Adams family is not worth as much money as other owners in the NFL. So how are they going to fit the bill for a more expensive stadium when they aren't able to put forward as much money as the other owners in the league? And I go back to the conversation that Cameron Sexton had earlier on the Dan Mandis show. And he said that the Adams family is willing to liquidate essentially everything they have in order to come up with $700 million to pay to foot the bill for that retractable roof and for the stadium. So you're looking at $500 million from the state of Tennessee. You're looking at $500 million, essentially, in a ballpark, from the NFL, $700 million from the Adams family. So you're looking at $1.7 billion. You got to find where that other $300 million is coming from, because while it may sound like, oh, you're there, you're not. You still have $300 million to account for. But I look at a couple of things. This would be the single largest investment that the Adams family has ever made into this stadium. So that shows their commitment to building a new stadium. That shows their commitment to the Tennessee Titans. And it also shows their commitment to keeping the Titans in Nashville. Because that was another part of the equation, was get a new stadium built. Their stadium's lease is through 2027. So they don't have a stadium. There is no Titans in Tennessee. There are no Titans in the city of Nashville. So, it really, when it comes down to it, it's new stadium, or, you play out your lease through Nissan Stadium, or you lose the Tennessee Titans, essentially.
Well, let me ask you this, because I want to talk about the good and the bad, and we said the good is we'll get a lot of revenue and all those things. Yeah. But why build the stadium if you can't really afford it, and Amy Shrunk and that the Tennessee Titans family doesn't have that much money to do that? Yeah. Why build the stadium? You know what I'm saying? And I know everybody wants to build. You said some good things about it. Of we can have a Super Bowl, WWF, whatever that is, and Final Four, all those things. But if your pocket can't afford it, you're looking for somebody else to pay. It's kind of like this. Just imagine you going on a date, right? And you really don't like this person. Well, after you get done eating a good meal, eating a good steak, and have some lobster and all these things, you look at each other, you're like, well, who's paying? So
I didn't want to come here anyway.
I didn't want to come anyway. So that's kind of what the Tennessee Titans are doing now. They want to build a great stadium, but they're looking at the other situations like, well, who's paying? And I think if we figure out and come together with a lot of money on the table, but if everybody does their part, I think you can build the stadium. But if you have a little resistance and, you have fans that say we don't want this stadium here, then how are we going to work together to get the stadium that we want?
And that's a good question. Is why build a new stadium? And I think it's something that probably a lot of people in Nashville are asking themselves. A couple reasons why. One, there are renovations that need to be done in Nissan
100%.
Stadium right now.
100%.
And there was an Axios article that was put out about a month or so ago about exactly what the renovations would be and what they would cost. And you're looking at a cost around $1 billion.
Just to renovate?
Just to renovate. I mean,
yeah.
the electrical systems in
Wow.
Nissan Stadium are
I didn't know
outdated.
that.
The
Wow.
plumbing is outdated. The structure of the stadium is outdated.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there was a laundry list of things that Nissan Stadium
And it would
needed
be
to
$1 billion?
updated. About $1 billion.
Yeah, I think
So
it
you
was
might as well go ahead and build
plumbing,
another stadium.
electrical, steel over concrete. I mean, it was all the stuff.
Everything, essentially. Yeah, like the foundation and the structure of the stadium
Wow.
was compromised, and that was something that needed to be addressed. So you're looking at about $1 billion price tag to renovate Nissan Stadium. A new stadium would be double the price. However, a dome would mean way more events and opportunities. So why build a new stadium? Because you're going to have to foot the bill somehow. So you may as well, do it in a new stadium and give the team and the venue new opportunities.
It's just funny because if you look at the stadium, it's only
25 years old.
25 years old. I mean, is that still fairly young? You know what I'm saying? I mean, I know you remember the Cleveland Browns; they were there for 2 million years. But you look at the Tennessee Titans. Is it a fairly young stadium? Could they? Now, you don't want to renovate it because if it's $1 billion, you might as well go ahead and put that towards a new stadium.
Yeah.
So, I kind of agree with you. Let's go ahead and do it. But the key thing is the Tennessee Titans don't want to keep looking at somebody else and say, well, who's going to foot the bill? And then we just keep dragging our foot and never get a stadium. I just think that if we sit down at the table, everybody sits down at the table and say, okay, look, how can I contribute? How can I do my part? And if everybody does their part, I think we can definitely make this thing work.
Now, Ian, correct me if I'm wrong, but I do remember when we were having these initial conversations talking about how when Nissan Stadium was first constructed, it was because it was, put up pretty cheaply.
What was it?
But Adams didn't really want to dish out a ton of cash for like an elite stadium.
But it
That's
still wasn't that
somewhat
bad, though.
accurate.
Yeah.
I think that's somewhat accurate. No, I mean, it was good for the time, but I think they were better.
Yeah, it was put up kind of quickly. The move was kind of quick. It was.
See, I didn't notice.
It was.
I remember it was in Memphis. we were in Vanderbilt. I mean, it was a definite upgrade. I say that respectfully, but it was a definite upgrade. So I was happy to be in there. But I mean,
from your days, for sure.
I was sitting there just thinking. I mean, you definitely want to make this thing happen because it brings so much notoriety, not just to the Tennessee Titans, but the city of Nashville. I mean, because you have country music, you have all these things, you have all these events, you have this attraction, you got opera lane, you have all these things, and it's just kind of like, barbecuing, you add more fuel to the fire. I mean, you already have a fire that's brewing. You got 90 people moving here a day. You got all these attractions, and then you all of a sudden you add a stadium that has a roof. Man, I'm telling you, it's just going to make the fire even hotter.
Which I would totally agree with you. And I have that internal conversation with myself. Let's say you're going shopping.
Yeah.
You see a pair of shoes that you love. You're like, these are functional. These are great. These look so good on me. I'm going to wear these all the time. Can't necessarily afford $1,500 shoes.
Yeah.
But I love them, and they're going to be great, and I'm going to wear them all the time, but who's footing the bill? And that's what I always go back to is while this stadium would be such a great investment for this city, someone's got to pay for it.
Somebody's got to pay.
And the money just isn't there. But the Adams family, willing to liquidate their assets and being able to do what they have to do to put forward the $700 million in order to build the stadium. And $700 million was higher than what I expected that to be. But we will go to your phones. Fun lines driven by Wilson County Hyundai. 615-737-1025 is our phone number if you have a Titan Stadium thought. Dave is up next.
Hey, guys. So that $1 billion renovation projection, is that so high because of some of the damage from the floods? And if so, is that an insurance claim? And is that the route that not only that they may want to go, but it could be forced to go? I'm just curious if that's been thought of.
Yeah, thank you for your call, Dave. Honestly, I have no idea.
I don't know.
I don't know why it's so expensive.
Have not heard that part.
I don't know if it was a flood thing. I don't know if it was a tornado damage thing. But, I mean, a stadium is an incredibly large building.
It is.
And when you looked at the list of the things that needed to be done to that stadium, electrical, plumbing, foundational issues, steel, all of the above. I think there was like the fiberglass and some of the windows needed to be replaced, whatever it was. That's a lot of things to go into a really large stadium and for it to be done in a short window and the Titans aren't playing in it. So I don't know the cost of what it takes to renovate a stadium. But I mean, I'm just going off of the projection, so I don't know if the flooding went into account.
And if you kind of look at the Tennessee Titans, when's the last time they really renovated? Maybe about 4 or 5 years ago when they put the jumbotrons in there and they put the chairs. They put new chairs in there. So what have they done to make the stadium better? Nothing really. And I'm saying that respectfully, but you haven't done anything to where it's a great attraction. When you go to Dallas, you're like, whoa. When you go to Atlanta, you're like, whoa. When you come to the Tennessee Titans Stadium, you're like, okay. You know, it's got to be better. So I think this stadium.
It's a crap stadium. It's our crap stadium,
Yeah.
but it's a crap
It's not
stadium
that
nonetheless.
bad. Yeah.
Chris, it's pretty bad.
I mean, I played in the stadium, so I really don't know because I really haven't been in the stands that much. But on the field, I mean, it's kind of like the same. So it's all good. Let's go build this stadium. Let's do this thing.
And I made this comparison whenever this news first came about.
Right.
Was your car, for example. You know, you may have some issues with your car. You know, you need a new transmission. You need these things replaced. You need an oil change. All of the car, I'm not a car guru, but you have a lot of things that need to be done to your car. It could be X amount of dollars, and you may look at that price tag and say, at that rate, can't I just get another car?
I see.
Can't I just upgrade me for a little bit more money? But I can upgrade and I'll be rid of all of my problems rather than just continuing to patch up the problems that I have now. Right. And that's what I look at with the stadium. You know, spend $1 billion to renovate the stadium you have now, or pay more and get a brand new stadium, which brings new opportunities.
That's funny that you say that about a car. Just imagine buying a car for $2,400 and then the maintenance, you know, over 1 or 2 years is $2,400. I mean, you put more into the car than what you bought it for.
May as well just buy a brand new car at that point.
And that's exactly what the Tennessee Titans Stadium, just like you said, you know, they put up the stadium kind of cheap and trying to get a benefit from it. But, you know, if we can just come together, I know I keep saying that over and over, but if we come together and make this thing work and everybody foots the bill, I think we can have something special.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. We'll get back to your phones on the Titans Stadium. How do you feel about it? What are the options for the Tennessee Titans? And if it doesn't come out of your tax dollars, why not? What are your thoughts? We'll get to your phones coming up next. 615-737-1025. Now go to theGameNashville.com/deals to check out Nashville's best deals. This week's deal of the week is Float Horizon in East Nashville, located at 1012 Russell Street. Get half off a 60-minute float session for $39.50. Why float? Float to recharge your mind and body, de-stress, relieve pain, better sleep, and more. For the ultimate experience, combine your float session with a therapeutic, relaxing massage or full-spectrum infrared sauna. Float Horizon, 1012 Russell Street in East Nashville, or visit them online at floathorizon.com. Get this deal now at theGameNashville.com/deals.
Hey, it's Jared from my official sportsbook app, the FanDuel Sportsbook app. Right now, FanDuel Sportsbook is giving new customers a $150 instant bonus guaranteed. That's right. You'll get $150 in bonus site credit, and all you have to do is place your first bet of $5 or more. How you bet that bracket is up to you. You can choose from the money line, totals, prop bets, and so much more. Duke and North Carolina should be a great game. Having a little bit of a hard time picking who I think is going to win. If Carolina can stay out of foul trouble, then I think they've got a shot to win, but it is, Coach K's last hurrah. But I'll also say Villanova with the injury, Kansas seems like a more sure bet. Join FanDuel today with the promo code JGM, and then you can place your $5 bet to score $150 in bonus site credit. Absolutely, positively guaranteed on the big games this weekend. That's right. Join FanDuel today. Again, that's promo code JGM on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. 21 and older in President Tennessee. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable site credit that expires 14 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line 1-800-889-9789.
It's been a busy offseason for the Tennessee Titans.
I think this is a one-year prove-it deal for Austin Hooper.
Big move for the Titans. Robert Woods. He fits what they want to do.
Harold Landry. I think he likes playing here. The Titans keep the cap number small. Landry got exactly what he wanted.
Now the focus shifts to the draft. What needs do the two-tone Blues still have?
Who can contribute right now?
Keep it locked to Nashville's best sports talk.
Talking Titans
on ESPN.
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
The Nashville Sounds opening day is less than 2 weeks away. April 5th, get to First Horizon Park for a week of action against the Durham Bulls. From weekly giveaways to theme weekends and fireworks shows, there's something for everyone this season. Tickets at NashvilleSounds.com.
Winning this award is truly like winning the Super Bowl of car dealer awards for Mercedes-Benz.
Edwin Vickery, General Manager of Mercedes-Benz of Music City.
Culture eats strategy for lunch. You have to hit on all cylinders to win this award. You can strategize all you want. You got to still have the right tools, and our tools are our people.
Live the dream with 3-time Mercedes-Benz Best of the Best Award winner, Mercedes-Benz of Music City. Go to mbofmc.com.
Looking to score with a Delta 8? Meet your new one-stop shop for anything and everything Delta 8. D8 Superstore has Delta 8 vapes, gummies, dabs, flour, and more. Backed by their years of extensive product research and testing, they offer the best prices, selection, and quality on the market. Get free shipping on every order with customer support that responds in minutes. So don't wait. Try their Delta 8. Shop with us at d8superstore.com.
This is Stan Harrison, CEO of Apple Collision Centers. We understand that no one likes to deal with auto body repair and the inconvenience it becomes in your day-to-day life. I want to personally invite you to stop by and let our experienced staff see how we can help you make your vehicle look good as new. Apple Collision Center has 3 convenient locations, Old Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin, ready to serve you. Come by and see us or visit us online at applecollisioncenters.com.
You're the one who protects the flock, and that requires an eye for detail. Because when safety and well-being are on the line, it's the details that can save lives. Even when no one else is watching, you see everything. Grainger gets you, and we're here for you, and all the ones who get it done with a wide range of safety products and solutions, plus board-certified safety consultants here to answer your questions. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Attention veterans of Middle Tennessee. Little Guys Movers wants to put your hard-earned skills and leadership talent to work with your very own Little Guys Movers franchise. Be your own boss and build a team with standards as high as your own, and all while serving your community with the same hustle that you served your country. Use your existing 401k to invest in yourself. Financing options are available. Start a fulfilling, profitable new chapter of your life as a member of a team with 30-plus years of growth and good times at littleguysfranchise.com. That's littleguysfranchise.com.
Sunday.
Call your friends. I think it's one of those nights for Luka.
The Mavericks head to Milwaukee to take on the Bucks in NBA action.
Stroke it, Drew Holiday for 3.
Coverage begins at 11:30 a.m.
on ESPN
94.9 and the Game Nashville app.
Hey Nashville, this is David Poyle. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
I don't even know if the Titans are a good example, but that's that's why it's important to build a new stadium. To get your cash flow up and generate that type of cash, so that maybe you can restructure more contracts or take some of his base salary, turn it into signing bonus. Peyton Manning with the Colts, everybody thought, well, he took maximum. No, he had it automatically. Napoleon wrote the contract up. Had it automatically, but the club could exercise whenever it wanted to convert his base salary to roster bonuses or signing bonuses. I forget what it was, so that it would not take a big hit against the cap in the particular year that the coach wanted to lower it.
That was Chris Mortensen on Darren Donick Chase a couple weeks ago. Now we're discussing a new Titan Stadium because it was discussed earlier today. Exactly what the plans are, at least for the Adams family, in terms of a new Titan Stadium. They're willing to liquidate some of their assets in order to put forward $700 million, and their plan is to get a retractable roof for a potential new Titan Stadium, because that's been the number one concern about a new stadium, is while it would be awesome and while it would open up the opportunity for a lot of these events. Now, these events aren't guaranteed a Final Four, a college football playoff, so on and so forth, but it at least opens up the opportunity. While that's great, the question still remains, who's footing the bill? So unless you have a thought, Chris?
No, I mean that's what we keep talking about, is who's footing the bill. It goes back to that one date I was talking about, that you go out for dinner and you guys don't like each other. Mm-hmm. Who's footing the bill? So if they figure out who's footing the bill and come together, I think definitely they can make something work.
Let's go to your phone. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Phone lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Don is up next on the stadium.
Hello.
Hey, Don.
Yes. I have a question, and I know money's always an issue with everything goes on, But I heard that they were talking about putting the stadium out in the parking lot next to the existing stadium. And my issue is, to me, Steiner Lift is always kind of an eyesore for people traveling through Nashville, right next to our stadium.
Mm-hmm.
If you have the money, if you could, it's always extra money. But if you could buy that property, put the stadium there, you clean that up, make things look a lot better. And then the word's been brought up also that we're going to look at a professional baseball here maybe in 24. You got to have another stadium. You could, the old stadium, when it comes down, you could put a baseball there, have those facilities next to each other. But
yeah, thank you for your call, Don. A couple things I want to touch on there. In terms of what is like a steel manufacturing, what a junkyard over there, whatever that is over by the stadium. It's my understanding that the owner of that plot of land has no intention of selling that land. Wow. It has no intention of giving that up. So I've heard that a lot, but I don't think that's necessarily in the cards right now. And I don't think that I hear the caller saying, there's always extra money somewhere. But right now, if we're scraping together the cash to build a new stadium, I don't think that the Tennessee Titans or the state of Tennessee is in any business of buying up any more property. Yeah. So in terms of the baseball stadium, I don't think that that downtown Nashville can support another stadium right there.
No, but even not just.
And I don't think that this city can afford to bring as a baseball stadium, a baseball team into Nashville. That cost for a baseball stadium is incredibly high.
But not just having a baseball,
$4 billion.
Not just having a baseball stadium, but if you try to go and renovate the other one, that's still going to cost you a lot of money.
That's a lot of money.
That's still going to be a lot of money because you got to change that into the seating and stuff to a baseball shaped, stadium. It's kind of like, remember when the Raiders used to have theirs? And it used to be part grass and part sand or dirt? It looked terrible. You don't want it to look like that. You just got to make sure that it's not an eyesore and make sure it's feasible for the baseball team. I know it sounds great, and I know that's a quick solution, but at the end of what you're doing, you're still going to have to come out and pay a lot of money.
Yeah, I'm going to take it one pipe drip at a time. I think that a baseball team is so far-fetched and so far down the line right now. I'm going to address the Titan Stadium, and we'll go from there.
We got the sounds.
Go back to your phones. Terrell is up next on the cost of the Titan Stadium.
Hey, how y'all doing this afternoon?
Good, how you doing?
Man, let me tell you, now, I was trying to take y'all numbers and everything like that. Now, you're talking about $500 million state bond, $500 million loan from the NFL, and $700 million liquid. That's $1.7 billion. Mm-hmm. The Atlanta Falcons stadium costs $1.4. And, that's an awesome stadium. And I love the experience I had there. With $1.7 million, if we need the extra $300 million, you know what? In fact, I think Jared said it weeks ago, a fan tax. To them out the state fans or whatever, or them guys who buy up all the tickets and StubHub or something like that, charge them extra to buy a ticket to the stand and get the $300 million somewhere.
Yeah, thank you for your call, Terrell. And I Mercedes-Benz, I think it was built in 2014.
Yeah, it was.
2014, 2015. So, you're looking at 6 years ago, 7 years ago, 8 years ago. Cost
2017, the one in Atlanta?
Yeah.
2017.
2017. Okay, so you're looking at 5 years ago. Prices go up, and the Atlanta Stadium is sweet. But, I'm just going off of what the estimated cost is. $2 billion is the target price right there. So I'll just go off of that. And also to the point about like a fan tax, I heard about like hotel tax, raising the hotel tax by a few dollars so visitors pay the bill rather than Nashville residents.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah, that's a possibility. But based off of the conversation that was had today of Cameron Sexton on the radio show, I don't think that that's their intention is to raise the hotel tax because I think tourism is such an important industry to Nashville. And they may look at it like, okay, if somebody's debating of going to either Atlanta or Nashville and it's going to be, $250 more to rent a hotel in Nashville than it is in Atlanta, then they'll probably go to Atlanta. So I think that state legislatures are also looking at that we need tourism in Nashville. So they're hesitant to add even more taxes onto the hotel tax as well. But it is, it's an option. That's money coming in somewhere.
Yeah, it is, but you're going to turn a lot of people away. Especially that's a lot of money, especially if you make the hotels even more or you buy a ticket and they add more to that. You're going to turn a lot of fans away because if you look at overall, buying a ticket is expensive. Getting a hotel is expensive. And during football season, they're going to jack up the price. So if they jack up the price even more, you're going to lose a lot of fans, and that's going to make a lot of people upset.
Back to your phones. Anduin is up next.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Got you.
Yeah, so actually, two things. What you guys were just talking about in the previous caller, I actually like the idea. It's Music City, and you can probably host like a free country music concert or some kind of venue and raise money that way, and all proceeds and stuff go towards the stadium. I could see them doing that several times because you got a couple years to make the money up. And then actually, so there's that. And then what I actually was calling about is I've already been creatively thinking of ideas the way the Titan Stadium could look. And knowing Music City, I think they would try to do something pretty elaborate, like especially if it's a retractable roof. I kind of see them possibly doing some kind of like guitar when it closes or a music note when it closes, something that really stands out and makes it Music City. But yeah, love the show and like to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, thank you for your call, Anduin. In terms of how they can raise money, I mean, yes, sure, that could be an option. Yes. But in terms of the way that it looks, I'm not quite there yet. We are in such the beginning stages of a stadium. So if we want to talk about the retractable roof and how cool it's going to look, like, I cannot get there yet.
Okay, how many shows you got to do to get $300 million?
How many shows do I have to do to get $300 million?
I mean, just imagine and I respect what he's saying, to do shows and do benefits and have concerts.
Yeah, this isn't scraping up money so you can go on spring break. Like this is building an NFL stadium.
This is building a stadium. So you're gonna have to have a lot of revenue, and that was a good good advice. But you're gonna have to do a lot more than that to foot this bill, because just like you said, when it's 1.7, not million, 1.7 billion. That's a big bill. So, I think they can do it, but it goes back to what I keep saying over and over and over. Let's work together to get this thing done.
But I think the most important thing is, while the money can probably come from somewhere, the most important thing is the willingness from the Adams family.
Absolutely.
Because whenever this first came about, Amy Adams Strunk had no intention of building a new building. She wanted to just renovate the current existing stadium because, of course, that's money coming out of her pocket. So I think the Adams family being so willing to raise the money and having a vision for the retractable roof, at least the eagerness and the will to build a new stadium is there. And where the money comes from, we'll go from there.
Yeah, and I think the time is right now. And the reason why I say the time is right now, because if you look at about 6 or 7 years ago, the Tennessee Titans were very bad. They were a very bad team. And if we'd have said, the Titans need to do another stadium, you probably would get cussed out. I mean, you will get cussed out. But now I think with the team having success going to the playoffs, you got big names. You got Derrick Henry, you got A.J. Brown, you got guys like that are faces of the franchise. Then now I think while the fire's hot, you definitely did a strike by getting a stadium down here in Nashville.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. If you have a thought on the Titans Stadium, well, I want to get back into this conversation. Before we do that, Derek Mason had something very interesting to say about a current Titan. Do we agree with what he said? Okay. And how do the Titans go from there? We'll get into that coming up next. 615-737-1025. Caroline Fenton joined by Chris Sanders filling in for Jared Stillman today. It's Stillman & Company. We are live on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
I'm Fox 17 News Code Red meteorologist Dan Guthrie. Temperatures this afternoon only headed to the middle and upper 50s under mostly sunny skies with patchy frost, again possible early Saturday morning.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
All the games are crazy in March, and so are Social Furniture's prices. Shop today at Social Furniture during their end of March sale. You'll find all sofas and sectionals for your home on sale now with same-day delivery. Social Furniture's end of March sale going on now. Enjoy your new sofas and sectionals now with no waiting and same-day delivery. Visit Social Furniture today in West Nashville at 5412 Charlotte Avenue. Forget the big box store. Support local. Support social. Social Furniture is a proud supporter of your Nashville Predators.
What if you could be debt-free in 3 weeks? Hey, Willie Donick here. My friends at Loan Pronto are helping people do it every day. It's Loan Pronto's Debt Consolidation Home Refi, wiping out tens of thousands in credit card debt. Listen, your home's value is way up. You can refinance now, take money out to pay off all your credit cards, eliminate PMI charges, pay off personal loans, or other high-interest debt. One local couple had over $50,000 in credit card debt. Loan Pronto did a debt consolidation refi, and even though their mortgage rate went up a tad, they cut their monthly payments by $900. Why pay 20% interest when you can consolidate it to one low payment with a mortgage APR in the threes? Homeowners who do it save an average of $800 a month. Do it now and even skip your next house payment altogether. That's what I call financial freedom. Call Loan Pronto now, 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780 or loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
312 Pizza Company is Nashville's authentic Chicago pizzeria, and they're now hiring. Work for a family-owned business and be a part of their incredible team. 312 Pizza Company is hiring for all positions, including host, waitstaff, bartenders, cooks, and more. 312 Pizza Company offers health insurance and paid time off to full-time employees. Contact Kimberly at 615-730-7888 or email at contact@312pizzaco.com. 312 is an equal opportunity employer.
Jackson Hewitt needs you to know 3 things about filing taxes this year. 1, there are thousands of dollars worth of new tax credits on the table. 2, you have to file for them to make sure you get the right amount. 3, a Jackson Hewitt Tax Pro will help track down every credit you deserve. Tax credits for being a parent, taking care of a parent, going to school, and so much more. You don't want to miss out on thousands. Jackson Hewitt knows that. Discover thousands in tax credits and get your biggest refund guaranteed. Learn more at jacksonhewitt.com.
Sometimes their glass is half full.
That was unbelievable. It was the best NFL draft they've ever had.
Sometimes glass half empty.
What are we getting ourselves into here? Tough game.
And sometimes it's all about the numbers.
1 win, and they've gone on this streak, and now they're at 500.
Hang out with Darren, Donick, and Chase from 10 to 2 during your workday. Presented by Curacion CBD on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Watch live on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube.
This is Stillman and Company. Delivered by TriStar Moving.
His play during the season is good enough to get you in the playoffs, but it's not good enough to take you to the Super Bowl. He has to find a way to elevate his game. In turn, it elevates everyone else's game. And I don't know if it happens or not. I just don't. Some guys, it's just in them. That's just the way they're built. That's why I said, Mount Rushmore, Rodgers is not in it. It's Elway, Manning, Brady, and Montana. That's it. Because I've seen those guys in the playoffs. And they elevate their game. And they elevate the people around them. Ooh-wee.
Spicy. That was Derek Mason on Darren, Donick, and Chase yesterday, talking about Ryan Tannehill, saying, if the Titans want to get to a Super Bowl, Ryan Tannehill may not necessarily be the guy to do it. And there's one key thing that Derek Mason said there, and it was about elevating his game.
Yeah.
Because you look at the quarterbacks on his Mount Rushmore, you look at Elway and Manning and Brady. Those are quarterbacks that elevate everyone else around them. I mean, how many people did Peyton Manning put? How many receivers did Peyton Manning put in the Hall of Fame?
Harrison.
Yes.
What's that?
Adrian James.
Adrian James. And then what's the other receiver? I just put it. I was thinking about him today. I can't remember. He was on the other side of Harrison.
Reggie Wayne.
Reggie Wayne.
Reggie Wayne. Reggie Wayne. There you go.
So those are all quarterbacks that elevate everyone else around them. Ryan Tannehill is not the kind of quarterback that elevates the team around him. But I look at A.J. Brown. He elevates Ryan Tannehill.
He does.
Ryan Tannehill, without A.J. Brown, isn't nearly as successful than he is with. I mean, I look at the 49ers game, for example.
Yeah.
The confidence level that Ryan Tannehill had, just knowing that I can just lob the ball up and A.J. will be down there somewhere. I mean, A.J. played out of his mind in that game.
That was a bad secondary. Me and you.
That is a bad secondary.
That was the worst secondary.
That is a bad secondary.
And then the coverage, and not to be devil's advocate, but they were playing a coverage that me and you could score on. I
don't know about me.
But yeah, I mean, just
maybe
like,
me. You would probably have a hard time, seeing as though I have so much experience, scoring touchdowns in the NFL.
Yeah. Go ahead.
But my thing with A.J. Brown is that's what makes him so valuable in this Titans offense, in my opinion, is the way that he's able to elevate Ryan Tannehill. Mm-hmm. But I say he's valuable in this Titans offense. How valuable is A.J. Brown to the rest of the league? How does the rest of the league view A.J. Brown? Now, I did this a few days ago, and I ranked kind of my top wide receivers in the league. Mm-hmm. I look at Cooper Kupp, Devontae Adams, Justin Jefferson, Tyreek Hill, Stephon Diggs, D-Hop, DK, Debo, Jamar Chase. Mm-hmm. You can put those in any order that you want, but I think all of those wide receivers are better than A.J. Brown.
Yeah, I mean,
and you look at Jalen Waddle, CeeDee Lamb, Tyler Lockett, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. He's probably more along the lines of those guys. Good receivers, but not elite. Devontae Adams, Cooper Kupp, those are elite wide receivers. Yep. So I look at that and I wonder, while he's valuable in this Titans offense, how valuable can he be to the rest of the league?
When you talk about A.J. Brown is a special player. He's big, he's physical, he knows what he's doing in the line of scrimmage, he runs great routes. When you're talking about an elite receiver, you completely take over the game. And I'm going to give you a perfect example. Look at Debo Samuels in the game. I forgot who they were playing, but he absolutely took over the whole game. They put the ball in his hands, and he impacted the whole game. When you look at A.J. Brown is special. He makes some great catches, and he does some great things. But when you talk about taking over a game, you see splashes of that. When you look at Devontae Adams, he does it every single week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and he beats you every week. But when you look at A.J. Brown, you'll have a game here to where he'll get 153 yards. Then you look at the next game, he has 43 yards. So it's about being consistent every week, making plays every week, and the defense feel you every week. When I say feel you, that they notice you're on the field. Sometimes in some games, we don't even know A.J. Brown's even there. Mm-hmm. And I say that respectfully. I'm going to tell you something. He's a beast. And I say this, but when you talk about like a Randy Moss or a Jerry Rice or a Tyreek Hill, when they play ball every week, you feel their presence on the field. But when you talk about A.J. Brown, it's a game here, it's a game there, and then all of a sudden you're sitting on the sideline. So I know he's a great player, a good player. He's just not a great player with the names that you named.
And I like that you bring that up. And in terms of consistency.
It's consistency.
Derek Mason was on Darren Donigan Chase yesterday talking about A.J. Brown. Mm-hmm. While he's valuable to the Titans offense, what more can A.J. Brown's game bring? This was Derek Mason and Darren Donigan Chase yesterday.
Yes, you had over 1,000 yards 2 seasons in a row, your first two. But then because of injury, you didn't get to it last year. You probably more than likely would have got over 70 catches, but because of injury, you didn't. So his is a little bit more tricky. I think, too, in the last year, with this year being sort of his contract year, typically what you see from individuals is if they do have an injury, they're not rushing to get back on the field because they think in their minds, I'm not rushing it, even if it's like an ankle turn or something like that. I'm not rushing it because it's going to mess up my money. Well, if you don't get back on the field, that's going to mess up your money. Mm-hmm. So I hope he's not leaning toward, if something happens, I'm just going to sit it out and wait till I get 100% healthy, which that never happens once the season comes along. You never 100% healthy.
And that's exactly the thing, is the consistency.
Yeah.
A.J. Brown isn't consistently out there on the field. A.J. Brown hasn't played a full season since his rookie season. Mm-hmm. A.J. Brown is hurt a lot. And that's what you said. You said A.J. Brown is good, but he's not great. Mm-hmm. And the one thing standing in his way of being able to break out and really truly be a great receiver in the league is going out there every week and being present. And they have it in the Titans locker room. The best ability is availability. And that's my number one concern with A.J. Brown, is that he is good and he's not great. Because you look at the rest of the league, you look at great receivers.
Yep. They're available.
A.J. Brown's name is not up there with the rest of those wide receivers, and they're available.
Yeah, but if you look at the knock that was coming out when he came out in the draft, what was the knock? Did he consistently stays injury? It's always a hamstring or ankle. When he came in his first year, he came in with an ankle injury. So when you come in with an ankle injury, you're behind the 8 ball already. But when he's on the field, he still goes out there and make plays, but you can't make plays if you're unavailable. You have to be available. And I understand injuries are part of the game. I mean, it is what it is. But at the end of the day, Derek said something so profound that you have to be on the field. It's not about being 100% healthy. I mean, you're going to have to play hurt. You got to play with a hamstring sometimes. You got to play with a broken finger, but you got to be available so you can get the ball. But if you're not available and you're on the sidelines and you're only impactful in 6 or 7 games, that makes you a good receiver, not a great receiver.
And that's my thing with A.J. Brown is I know how important he is to this Titans offense.
He's very important.
Because like Derek Mason said, Aaron Rodgers elevates his team. Peyton Manning elevated his team. Tom Brady elevates his team. Right. A.J. Brown elevates Ryan Tannehill. But beyond that, I mean, A.J. Brown is good.
Yeah. And another thing that
he's not elite.
And another thing that we need to talk about too is, after me and Derek Mason left. No, I'm just kidding. After me and Derek Mason left, the slew of receivers that came through. You had Calico. You had Kenny Britt. You had Nate Washington that were solid. But then you bring A.J. Brown in, and he makes some spectacular plays. Then now we crown him as being the best receiver to ever come through the Tennessee Titans. That's not fair to the Webster Slaughters, the Haywood Jeffries, the Derek Masons, the Drew Bennetts, the Kenny Burrows, the Ernest Givens. That's a slap in those guys' face because those guys were special. Those guys were impact players. I'm not saying A.J. Brown is not a good player. He's just not elite with the guys we're talking about, like Devontae Adams, Cooper Kupp, Deebo Samuels, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase. There's no possible way that you can jump in front of those guys. Why? Because they impact the game every single week.
And that's exactly what I want to get into coming up next. Is this kind of a sense of recency bias with A.J. Brown? Caroline Fenton, Chris Sanders in for Jared Stillman. Listening to Stillman & Company, we are live on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Love telling you about Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Those guys have been taking care of my home for years. And if you know me, you know I don't know how to do any of that stuff, so I need experts like Hiller for all 4 of those things that they absolutely knock it out of the park. Not only do they knock it out of the park for that, but they are giving you free vacations for you and your family this month. With every purchase of a new whole home generator or select new HVAC systems, Hiller is giving you a free week-long vacation. With every purchase of a new tankless water heater, they're giving you a free weekend vacation. And they're giving you a Visa Rewards card to pay for your gas to get you there. Choose from over 400 Marriott, Wyndham, Hilton, or Hyatt hotel properties and take advantage of this unbelievable deal while you can because these deals are only available for a limited time, so make sure you schedule today. Visit happyhiller.com for all of the details. As always, happy you will be or the service is free. And again, I can vouch for them because they take care of my home. Hiller, proud supporters of the Tennessee Volunteers, the Nashville Predators, and the Vanderbilt Commodores. Call the Happy Face Truck. My guys in that Happy Face Truck. Call the Happy Face Truck today.
Take us wherever you may go.
There is going to be a whole lot of work going on.
Tune us in anywhere, anytime.
I think he has some big play in him.
Just search The Game Nashville in your app store and download today. And keep it locked on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Nothing makes one feel better than the ability to give to someone in need. You have the power to give the most important gift of all, the gift of life, with a donation of your blood. Supplies are desperately low in our area, and your help is needed. Blood Assurance is a nonprofit community blood center that supplies our Middle Tennessee area hospitals. Please find it in your heart to donate. Be someone's hero today. Go to bloodassurance.org to find a location or blood drive near you. That's bloodassurance.org. Give blood, give local, save lives with Blood Assurance.
For years, you've known Genesis as the premier jeweler here, where you can always find the most sought-after brands in fashion and bridal jewelry. Genesis carries the best of the best, brands that others aren't even allowed to carry. But now, Genesis takes it to a whole new level with a spectacular collection of luxury pre-owned Rolexes. If you've ever dreamed of owning the world's most revered brand, you owe it to yourself to get to Genesis now and see watches people wait years to get. Luxury pre-owned Rolex Submariners, Hulks, Daytonas, Batmans, and so many others. We've scoured the country hand-selecting only the best for our showcases. The most popular models, the most well-cared for, the ones most in demand. So don't wait any longer. Reward yourself or someone you love today with a luxury pre-owned Rolex from Genesis. It's just another way Genesis Diamonds does whatever it takes to bring you only the world's best. Genesis Diamonds and luxury pre-owned Rolexes in Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Out on the trail today, I noticed the signs of spring.
a purple lilac, a monarch butterfly, crisp, cool air, and fresh, bright sunshine. And all this beauty puts me in the mood to head over to my favorite adult beverage depot, Red Spirits and Wine, where I can load up the wagon with the best wines, whiskey, and brews to wet my whistle. At Red, you'll always find the best selection and value, but their Cracker Jack crew is flat out second to none. Just square dealing folks and straight shooters with great recommendations, and they never come off like some of those big talking fancy pantsers that are just totally full of, well, let's just say fertilizer. Red Spirits and Wine is the only place I do my trading, and once you've seen Red, there just ain't no sense in looking elsewhere. It's like British pop singer Billy Ocean once said, no more love on the run. Red Spirits and Wine is the real deal. Open 7 days a week at Highway 70 South and Old Hickory Boulevard. And follow Red on Facebook and Instagram as well. We'll see you at Red.
At Charmin, we heard you shouldn't talk about going to the bathroom in public, so we decided to sing about it.
I love my Charmin Super Mega Golden Rose. Yeah. Gold last long. It's TP Gold, yeah. Charmin's got 6 rows in one. Lasts forever on my buns. Only Super Mega when I'm cleaning. Charmin's got my booty believing.
Charmin Super Mega Roll is 6 regular rolls in one. Enjoy the go with Charmin.
This hour of sports brought to you by FlexCar.com. Ever add up your car expenses, monthly payments, maintenance, repairs, insurance? It adds up to more than you think. With FlexCar.com, for a low weekly rate plus mileage, you can forget about things like new tires or monthly insurance. So why not FlexCar your next car?
From the Hillside Medical Game Studios, WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne, broadcasting 97.5 Murfreesboro, 106.3 Williamson County,
ESPN,
102.5 The Game, and the Game Nashville app.
a Cromwell media station.
Live from the Game Nashville studios, it's Stillman and Company. Delivered by TriStar Moving. TriStar Movers with 5-star service. With Jared Stillman on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN.
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Stillman & Company is delivered by TriStar Moving. TriStar Movers with 5-star service. You can watch us streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook Live every day. Our video streaming is brought to you by the law offices of Amanda Gentry. We're live from the Hillside Medical Game Studio. Caroline Fenton, joined by Chris Sanders, filling in for Jared Stillman today. Now, we're talking A.J. Brown. And, Chris, I'll put it this way.
Mm-hmm.
I was lucky enough. My parents got me my first car when I was 16. And I loved that car. But, it was an older model, and it started, the battery started dying, and there were pieces and parts that were falling apart that I had to put together with duct tape. And then a few years later, I got a new car. And it was a Jeep. So, it's not a Rolls Royce.
Yeah.
It's not a Mercedes-Benz. It's not a G-Wagon, but it's a Jeep, and it had all the bells and whistles, and it had the screen, and it had all the electronic things, and there were seat warmers. And albeit it wasn't, a Rolls Royce, it was better than what I had.
Yeah.
It was an upgrade. And so to me, that was the best thing ever because I got an upgrade in my car, and it was better than what I had. And I look at that the same way that I think some Titans fans may be approaching A.J. Brown. Because A.J. Brown, like we said, he's a bad man now.
He's a bad boy now.
He's a bad boy, and he elevates Ryan Tannehill. And I don't necessarily want to see a Titans offense where there's a Ryan Tannehill and there's not an A.J. Brown. Because I think that you get in a sticky situation there.
Right, you do. Absolutely.
But I think the Titans fans might be dealing with a little bit of recency bias. And we've had the same conversation with a lot of Titans fans in the past of, you don't remember the Jake Locker era. You don't remember how bad it was with quarterbacks in the past.
Right.
With Ryan Tannehill, the Titans are consistently making the playoffs. The Titans are consistently getting in the double-digit numbers in the win column. So Ryan Tannehill's better than what we've had in the past.
Right.
But my question to that is, just because it's better than what you have, does it mean that you can't upgrade?
Yeah.
My Jeep is better than my first car, but does that mean I can't go out and get a Rolls Royce? I look at it the same way with A.J. Brown, and you make a very good point of wide receivers of the Titans' past. A.J. Brown is a bad man.
He's a bad dude.
A.J. Brown is significantly better than a lot of the wide receivers the Titans have had in recent history. So is A.J. Brown, are we looking at A.J. Brown with our two-tone blue tinted glasses? A.J. Brown is the best wide receiver that walked the halls of Nissan Stadium? Or is A.J. Brown just so much better than what the Titans have had in the past, and his value is inflated in Nashville because of that?
I mean, we had some bad receivers, and I said it in a respectful way, but I want to go back to that Rolls Royce, illustration that you talked about. And when you look at the Rolls Royce, because that's one of the cars that I'm going to get one day. And when you look at it, it has all the wheels on it. It's
you
shiny.
Let me drive it every once in a while?
Absolutely not.
Okay,
no, I'm just
all
kidding.
right.
I'll let you drive it. But but you got this Rolls Royce here, and just imagine it's sitting in the parking lot. It's beautiful. It's shiny. You just washed it, but it has a flat.
Rolls Royce can't have a flat now.
But see, the thing about it is, it may look pretty, but it's not taking you anywhere because it has a flat. And that's kind of the same thing with A.J. Brown. He looks the part. He plays the part sometimes, but he continuously gets a flat by being injured, and you can't control that. But to say that he's the best receiver to ever come out of the Titans organization, I mean, he can be. But I don't think he is right now. And I say that respectfully. And if A.J. Brown listen, I have so much respect for you, and I want to say that. But you're talking about guys that played well, that I played with, like Webster Slaughter, Haywood Jeffries, guys that had consecutive years that caught 100 balls, that have the stats. But I just think that when we classify him and crown him already, I just think it's doing a disservice to the other guys that played. I know the last 6 or 7 years that the receiving corps was really, really bad. You had Kenny Britt, a guy like that showed flashes of being great, then all of a sudden he gets in trouble and he's gone. You have Nate Washington that played pretty good for a little bit, then he's gone. Then now you have a guy coming in here like A.J. Brown that when he catches the ball, it's spectacular. When he makes plays, it's spectacular. But you can't classify him as being one of the great just yet.
My point of all of this is the Titans have an incredibly difficult crossroads coming up very soon with A.J. Brown. I mean, he can get paid. I mean, he's going to want a big contract. But they also have a very valuable cash cow in A.J. Brown. They have a difficult decision because they're going to, if they choose to move forward with A.J. Brown, they need to understand that they're going to pay that man.
Absolutely.
He is consistently hurt. And the wide receiver market is getting driven up like crazy. I mean, you see Devontae Adams getting $140 million across 5 years. Yeah. You look at Christian Kirk, who just got the most ridiculous contract from the Jacksonville Jaguars, and A.J. Brown is a much better wide receiver than Christian Kirk. So A.J. Brown could look at that and say, I want that kind of money because I'm better than that guy. But for a guy who's on the bench a lot because he is hurt, the Titans may have to pay a guy who sits on the bench. And that's one of my biggest pet peeves about the Titans is that they give up money and draft capital for guys who cannot contribute. So my question for you is it on the table for you? You're John Robinson. Is it on the table to trade A.J. Brown?
You're trying to get me in trouble. This is hard because the thing about it is the price has to be really right. When I say really, really right, just say if the Jets or say if New England or somebody comes and say, okay, we'll give you 2 draft picks, 2 first-round draft picks, a second round, a third round, and next year after that, we'll give you another first-round draft pick. Then I'm going to have to do what's best for the team and say, you know what, I understand that, A.J. Brown is a pillar of this team, a guy that makes plays on this offense, but I'm going to have to trade you. Because if you look at the Tennessee Titans roster, there's a lot of holes that the Tennessee Titans have to patch. You got to get a safety. Crookenshank is gone. Then now you got to get some DBs. We need, Derrick Henry's kind of, I'm not saying declining, but we don't know how his status is going to be next year. You got to get a running back. You got to get another tight end. You got to do all these things. So if a team comes to me and gives me a good package and it benefits the team, then I have to let him go. And the reason why I would have to let him go is because if you're not available for 17 games, then I can't pay you $34 million a year because you're not available.
$34 million a year. Woo!
I mean, that's a lot, but look at what the rate of the receivers are getting paid. I'm not saying that A.J. Brown is up there, but he's so valuable to the
But
Tennessee.
he may look at it that way.
That's the point that I'm making. Because the thing about it is, okay, if we take A.J. Brown off the team, I'm going to give you a list of receivers that the Tennessee Titans have. They have Dez Fitzpatrick. Yes or no?
No.
Oh, you have
Absolutely not.
You have Racey McMath.
Go Tigers.
Go Tigers. Josh Malone. And you have Mason Kinsey. Who on that list scares you?
None of them.
None of them. But if you say A.J. Brown, does he bring fear in you?
Yeah.
So he understands how valuable he is to the Tennessee Titans. J-Rob knows how valuable he is to the Tennessee Titans. But now, just say this happened, and I'm not saying it's going to happen, and I'm not saying it never will happen. But what if Devontae Adams came to the Tennessee Titans, and him and A.J. Brown was there, and somebody wanted to trade for A.J. Brown, do you think A.J. Brown will be important to the Titans or less important because of Devontae Adams?
Less important.
Why? Because now you bring another guy that can be another one wide receiver. Because if you look at that list that I just named, after A.J. Brown, name a number one wide receiver.
There isn't one.
There isn't none. So when you have one number one wide receiver and he's valuable to that Tennessee Titans team, he understands his value to the team, he's going to want to get paid. And if I'm in his position, I want my ducats.
And that was one question that I wanted to ask you because we had a caller yesterday when TD was on with us. He said the Philadelphia Eagles have 2 first-round picks. A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts.
Don't do it.
Are besties. They're bestie pups. So, I mean, I look at that. 2 first-round picks.
I'm telling you.
I really do not think that's going to be the return for A.J. Brown. I mean, Tyreek Hill, it's a first and a second. Tyreek Hill is a much better wide receiver, albeit you're dealing with a lot of off-the-field issue with Tyreek Hill. You're inheriting, a lot with Tyreek Hill, and A.J. Brown doesn't have that kind of baggage attached to him. But I don't think you're looking at 2 first-round picks. But we had a caller call in and ask that, and TD said, you enjoy Philly, AJ.
But see, here's the crazy thing, Miss Caroline, is if Tyreek Hill and Devontae Adams can get traded, is A.J. Brown in that echelon with them? No. So if those 2 guys can get traded, nobody's exempt. I think because he's on our team, we think it's a disservice. But if the Philadelphia Eagles say, okay, I'm giving you my 2 first-round draft picks, and I'll give you my next year, and I'll give you my 3rd round, even though I love A.J. Brown, even though I respect his game, and even though I have so much respect for him, I have to do what's better for the team. And what's better for the team is I get 2 picks. So now I go get Chris Olave or I go get Garrett for the Ohio State. Get one of those guys.
I've talked to you about draft picks a couple times today. Each time Chris Olave is the first name out of your mouth.
He's a dog, man. He's a dog. I mean, he's
a dog.
He's good. He makes plays, great route runner. But it goes back to business. I think with A.J. Brown, the one thing he has to do is he's got to take the emotions out of it. Because if he gets traded and say, okay, we're not going to pay you this amount of money, we're going to trade you to somebody else, it's a part of the nature. So he's got to take the feelings out of it.
And I think that's the really tough move for the Titans because if they do decide to move on from A.J. Brown and they do get draft capital in return, the Titans have so many holes that they need to fill in the draft. You're looking at if you want to plan for the future at quarterback, they need another wide receiver.
Absolutely.
Offensive line is a need of the Titans. And you're also talking about a potential issue that could be there of the eventual decline of Derrick Henry. Although the man is a Martian, it's going to happen sooner or later. So the Titans have a ton of draft needs. If you're looking at trading A.J. Brown, you're essentially blowing up the core of your offense. And you're planning toward the future. So the Titans are going to take a big step back in order to make a massive leap forward. But that's not going to be an incredibly attractive thing for Titans fans, and I think even the Titans front office, to blow up the core of this offense. So while I can talk all day about, if the draft package, if the return package for A.J. Brown is incredibly attractive, at the end of the day, I don't know if this is a move that the Titans front office wants to make.
I mean, I think they don't because, just like we said, A.J. Brown is a pillar of this offense. But if something comes good, they're going to have a backup plan. When I say a backup plan, even though if they do get – I'm saying that's going to happen. But if they do get a great offer and they trade A.J. Brown, there's somebody in their draft that they believe that can come in and do what A.J. Brown is. And there's a lot of guys on that list like Drake London from USC, Garrett Wilson from The Ohio State University, Jameson William from Alabama. I understand that he's hurt. Chris Olave. We love that name. Traylon Burks, guys like that can make plays. So they're going to have a backup plan and say, okay, we're not just going to let you go. We still got a guy in the stable that can come in and make plays.
615-737-1025 is our phone number if you have an A.J. Brown thought. Is it crazy to think that the Titans would be willing to take a step back in order to take a massive step forward? We'll get into that. Plus, Corey Curtis joins the show coming up next. We'll get his thoughts on that as well. Stillman and Company, we're live on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Fireball Cinnamon Whiskey goes down so smooth and it tastes so great. There's no better way to ignite the night than with ice-cold Fireball Cinnamon Whiskey. That's right. We got the championship this weekend, and so if you're having a big party or you're going out with your friends to watch the big games, you got to get ice-cold Fireball Cinnamon Whiskey. That's right. I absolutely love Fireball Cinnamon Whiskey, and you will love Fireball Cinnamon Whiskey too. Why? Because it goes down so smooth and it tastes so great. That's right. Fireball Cinnamon Whiskey, night to night. Please do responsibly. Be 21 years or older to enjoy Fireball Cinnamon Whiskey.
The trade deadline is come and gone.
I guess we'll see what happens with Forsberg riding this thing out.
The Predators can now focus on the final stretch to the playoffs.
We're a good team. We're a hard team to play against.
We are your flagship home of the Nashville Predators radio network.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
No one should read your personal messages. That's why WhatsApp uses end-to-end encryption. It protects whatever you send before, during, and after you send it. Always message privately. WhatsApp.
Realizing Geico is your one-stop shop for all your insurance needs is like realizing you can just toss the whole measuring cup into the washer, so it won't get gunked up with laundry detergent.
I guess it doesn't work for coffee mugs, huh?
It's something that's been right in front of you this whole time, like how Geico offers 24/7 emergency roadside service to help you when you need it most. Or how athletic wristbands aren't for your wrists, they're for wiping sweat off your forehead.
Great. So, what are headbands for?
80s night at the dance club. Woo!
It's something you can't believe you never realized before, like how Geico makes it easy to bundle your home and car insurance, with even more ways to save when you add boat, motorcycle, and RV insurance. Or how a pony is its own animal and not just a baby horse.
So, what's a baby pony called?
Getting more ways to save. It's just one of the many reasons to switch to Geico. They're all right there in front of you.
Markdown Madness is almost over, but Electronic Express is still bringing slam dunk deals. Watch the finals with 4K TVs from Samsung, LG, Sony, Hisense, TCL, and more. We've also got huge savings in every department: computers and gaming, smart home, housewares, mattresses, and more. Plus, save up to 40% on all appliances with up to 36 months free financing. Shop in-store or online with free express delivery on most items. Experience Markdown Madness at Electronic Express. We make it happen.
Third and Home is Germantown's bar with a ballpark. Overlooking the Nashville Sounds, you can have the best seats in the house when baseball season returns April 5th. Pro tip, stop by before the game to watch batting practice from the patio and enjoy happy hour food and drink specials. The mouth-watering menu at Third and Home includes signature items such as wings, stuffed breadsticks, classic burgers, and hot chicken and waffles. Third and Home is open Tuesday through Sunday at 11 a.m. For more, visit thirdandhome.com.
Interact with Stillman and Company. Call or text the show at 615-737-1025. Driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com.
Stillman and Company. Come watch Hoops with 102.5 The Game and wager tomorrow at Party Foul in Cool Springs at 1914 Galleria Boulevard. Now through Sunday, Party Foul has $4 domestics, $4 Little Harpeth Chicken Scratch, and $6 Jack Daniels all day long. So come hang out with us tomorrow for some college hoops starting at 5 p.m. and check out Wager, the new social sports betting app where you challenge your community, not the house. That's tomorrow at Party Foul in Cool Springs at 5 p.m. News 2's Corey Curtis joins us now. Corey, first and foremost, we're talking A.J. Brown. Derek Mason on Darren Tonic and Chase yesterday said A.J. Brown is good, not great. And the difference between being good and great is consistency and being out on the field and being healthy and being able to contribute. Corey, do you agree with that sentiment, or do you think that A.J. Brown is a great receiver regardless?
I think he has great skill and great talent and great explosiveness. But if he wants to be considered great elite, he does need to be out in the field all the time, and he does need to be a factor in every game that he plays. You look at his numbers, which he's put up some prolific numbers in certain games. He still has barely topped 1,000 yards each of the first 2 years. That doesn't put him into elite territory. It puts him into good territory. Now, look, I think his ceiling is great, okay? And so I'm excited about his ceiling. So, I think we're kind of splitting hairs. He's also on a football team that doesn't throw the ball 45 times a game, and I think that holds him back some. But he can be more consistent. I think there's no question about that.
Can you pay a wide receiver the current money that's on the wide receiver market, that kind of money, if he's not consistent?
Money, right?
It's stupid money. I mean, the Christian Kirk contract is just stupid.
Okay, how much did Christian Kirk get?
Ooh, a lot.
A lot.
$72 million.
$72 million.
30-something guaranteed.
A lot of that is all incentives.
Over how many years?
4.
4. So that's $18 million a year for a guy who was a 2 or 3 most of his career.
Mm-hmm.
Jeez.
I mean, there's some irresponsible contracts being written right now. And, so people are going to get burned by him. Christian Kirk's a nice player, but does that pencil out to $18 million a year? That makes the Corey Davis deal last year for $12 million look like the freaking steal of a lifetime. I mean, because is there a big difference between those two guys?
No.
That's where I'm going
is.
at. There's an old saying that I've got, or it's not mine, but it's out there.
You can claim
just because you pay a guy to be $20 million doesn't make him a $20 million player. All right, he's going to be the player he is. You have to determine what the right price is. Just because this guy might be a $5 million player, but if you give him 20, it's not going to make him a $20 million player. It just makes him a $5 million player who you are drastically overpaying.
Yeah. Hey, Corey, man, there's been floating rumors that A.J. Brown could possibly get traded. And me and Caroline's been talking about, Philly having 2 first-round draft picks. Do you think there's any possibility that the Tennessee Titans trade A.J. Brown?
Okay, well, that's not really a rumor. Okay, unless you guys have heard something I've heard. All I heard was the Jets were keeping their eyes out on guys who were entering the last year of their contracts. I haven't heard any rumors that A.J. Brown could be traded. Everything I've heard from the Titans is A.J. Brown's going to be a Titan for a long, long time. The only way A.J. would be traded, I believe, is if he told the Titans he wanted like $30 million a year. Because, look, I love A.J. Brown.
I do too.
He's a fun guy. He's totally talented. But I wouldn't pay Tyreek Hill $30 million a year. And there's a really easy reason for that, guys. How many good, talented young receivers are out there today? Way more than ever before.
Yeah.
Way more. It is a lot easier to replace these guys than it used to be. And, Chris, you remember what it used to be like? That used to be a position that took a guy a couple of years to work into. And now, with more sophisticated passing games in the college game, these guys are able to come in here, and they're expected to make plays early, and guys like Justin Jefferson absolutely do. So why would you wreck your cap, $30 million, for a guy, for a position where you think you can come close, hopefully? And I always say hope's not a strategy, but, you think you take a guy in round 1, he's gonna fill that void, and he's going to do it for a lot less money. And he's younger, by the way.
There's a lot of great wide receivers in the league, like Adams, Cooper Kupp, Deebo Samuels, Jefferson, Jamar Chase, all those guys. They're all top 10 wide receivers. Where does A.J. Brown fit in those in a lot of those receivers?
Well, I think at his peak, he is definitely one of those top 10 guys. Because, look, we've seen him win football games. And that's a difference to me. That's why last year when Derrick Henry was down and he was down, I said they got to get A.J. Brown back, and he's more important. I'm not saying he's better than Derrick Henry. I've had this conversation a million times. Because when I first said it at the beginning of the last year, I was treated like I was the man from Mars, okay? People wanted to shoot me off into another galaxy because they said I was the biggest idiot in the world. But you see the difference when AJ's on the field. The Titans can still run the ball without Derrick. Maybe not quite the same as with Derrick, but they could still run the ball. But without AJ, they lack the dynamic ability in the passing game. Just go to the San Francisco game. He won that game by himself. They had no answer for him. None. Could not stop him. And that's one of the better defenses in the league, and they could not stop him. The Titans need that guy, and they need that guy at least 12 games a year. All right? He's got to be there. He's got to be dominant. And if he wants to be paid, the dollars that I'm sure he thinks are coming to him, that's the player that he needs to be. Now, look, I think AJ's a guy who can handle the money because I think playing football and being good at football are extremely important to him. So he's not a guy I worry about paying, but still, would you give AJ $30 million, or would you trade him for a first or a second and draft Treylon Burks?
No, I don't like Treylon Burks. I don't like him from Arkansas. No. He's a straight line guy, and I say this all respectfully. He's a straight line guy, but he's not a polished route runner. And when you're in this league, you got to run routes. He's kind of, and I'm not saying this in a disrespectful way to myself. When I came in, I was a straight line guy. I didn't learn how to run routes until I actually got in the league. And I think he's kind of that same type of player. When you got in this league, when you get drafted in the first round, you're expected to play now. And I know he can catch the long ball, and I know he can take the top off the defense. But at the end of the day, can he run routes and make plays?
He's a beast, though, man. He's a big dude.
Corey Curtis is with us. Corey, we learned today that the Adams family reportedly is willing to liquidate some of their assets in order to put forward $700 million for a new Titan stadium. My biggest thing, my concern that a new stadium might not happen was, one, the willingness to put forward the money, and two, the money just not being available. What stood out to you about that, and does this make it all a little bit more real in your eyes?
It's been real, because I think this is inevitable, all right? I thought this is inevitable for 5-6 years. So I think it's going to happen. How much money the Adams family comes up with, that remains to be seen. But, the state's talking about putting up $500 million. I'm sure the city's going to put up money. I'm sure they can get a loan from the National Football League, for more money. There's ways. We're in a cash-rich environment in our country at this point. There is money to be had, and those stadiums make money. There's a reason that Jerry Jones paid cash, his own money, for AT&T Stadium. There's a reason that the guy out there, the Walmart guy, paid the $4 or $5 billion for SoFi out in California, because they want all the money from everything that goes with it. It's a good investment for them. And so, there's a reason the state's willing to push forward $500 million without even really being asked. All right, because they know it's a good investment. It's a good investment for their economy, but they also know that stadium, in Nashville, a destination city, is going to bring big-time events and make everybody a whole lot of money. So it's going to happen. I think the Titans have been working on this for a while, would be my guess. I think they've got a plan, and I think this is all going to unfold sooner rather than later, because I think, when Burke Nihill brought up that 2026 date, I think that piqued everybody's interest, and it really got the ball rolling.
Corey, I just want to switch gears a little bit. I want to talk about the draft coming up. It's right around the corner. And, the Tennessee Titans have a lot of needs at wide receiver, offensive tackle, quarterback, and also even at running back. If they're sitting at that 26th pick, what position do you think they're going to pick? You think it's going to be quarterback, wide receiver, offensive tackle, or even running back? What do you think?
I would trade it. That's first and foremost. I would trade it for more picks, because I think as many top 100 picks as you could get would be better. Because to me, there's not a ton of difference between 25 and 75. I think there's a lot of guys in there who could help them. But if they hold on to that pick and they pick with it, I would be surprised if it's not an offensive lineman, guard or tackle, or a wide receiver. If you're going to be good around Ryan Tannehill, you've got to protect him and you got to give him weapons. Okay, and so that's the two best ways to do it, in my opinion.
It's funny that you talk about Tannehill. That's been the talk on the whole offseason about Tannehill can't do it. He can't take him to the Super Bowl. So if Desmond Ridder, Sam Howell, or Kenny Pickett is sitting there, do you think the Titans will trade down, or do you think they'll get a quarterback at that 26th position?
Well, it depends on what the demands are for one of those guys at 26 and how much of a haul that you can take in and how much you like those guys. I mean, that's the thing we don't know. We don't know how much they like those guys. Maybe they like Desmond Ridder a lot. Maybe they like Desmond Ridder, but only at number 38 or below. You know what I'm saying? So, that all goes into it. But, I mean, they've clearly done their homework on these guys. And I think that they're guys who kind of fit what Mike Vrabel was talking about, because he talked about mobility being very important for a quarterback. Howell has mobility. Ridder has mobility. And so I think, those guys kind of fall into it. But are they worth it at 26? Are they that talented? Are they that good? Because if you're going to take that guy in the first round, he's got to start for you at some point. You can't have Jordan Love on your team, okay? That's not a good pick, all right? Not a good pick when you draft guys in the first round and they don't play. We've seen enough of those this year. And I'm not saying he's got to play this year, but in 2 years, he's got to be your starter. I say Tannehill could play 2 more years. In that third year, he's got to be your starter. You got to get something out of his rookie deal. And that's the big thing, is striking when your quarterback is on his first contract. And if you don't start the guy until year 4 or 5, then you didn't get anything out of those years the low cap number because you were paying somebody else.
Corey Curtis is with us. Corey, you mentioned, if not an offensive tackle, perhaps a wide receiver. And that's what I want to get into next with Chris Sanders. What have you seen from the wide receivers in this draft, and who do you think would fit best in this offense? We'll get into that coming up next. Corey Curtis, we appreciate you.
All right, thanks, guys.
Appreciate you, C.
Thanks, Corey.
Good one.
Oh, they're from Ohio State, right?
That's
State. My guy.
Right. But I don't think they're going to be there. That's the problem.
Yeah, that's true.
Corey,
right, have a good weekend.
Appreciate you, man. Have a good weekend. Coming up next, we're getting into what are the best wide receivers in this draft. What has former wide receiver Chris Sanders seen from these wide receivers, and who fits best in the Titans offense? We'll get into that coming up next. Before we do that, I want to tell y'all about Caesars. Caesars Sports Book Report is here. The plot is thickening in the NCAA tournament. We are only 1 day away from the Final Four, and Caesars Sportsbook has released a brand new offer for new users. Download the Caesars Sportsbook app and get started with up to $1,100 in first bet insurance. Sign up with promo code RadioCZR. That's one word, RadioCZR, and then place your first bet on the NCAA tournament, on hockey, NBA, you name it. And we've got a Predators game tonight. The Preds playing in Buffalo. The over-under on Caesars Sportsbook is set at 6, and I think that's fairly low because we look at the Predators. They've had 6 or more goals total in 8 of its last 10 games. Now, you see Saros has been in a little bit of a low streak, has got like a .89 save percentage in the past couple of games, and the Buffalo Sabres have also seen their fair share of high-scoring games. They've been 6 or more total goals in 6 of Buffalo's last 9 games. So both the Buffalo Sabres and the Nashville Predators in some high-scoring games as of late. So I'm going to take the over 6. But that's what I think, and do what you think, and do it on the Caesars Sportsbook app. Must be 21 and physically present in Tennessee. New users only. Bet amount of qualifying wager. Return only if wager is settled as a loss. Paid as a single bet credit. Must be used within 14 days. See Caesars.com/promos for full terms. Gambling problem? Call or text the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789. Caesars Sportsbook. Download it, people.
Jump in the mind of an NHL veteran as Predators analyst Hal Gill joins Stillman and Company Tuesday afternoons at 5:30.
Here they are in a pressure situation every night because they need 2 points.
And Robbie and Rexroad Thursday mornings at 9:30.
Goaltending, I think it might be an issue at some point.
Presented by Duncan on Smashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Victory Award-winning New Amsterdam Vodka knows all about it, but in life, it's not always so clear. So New Amsterdam Vodka believes that in life, you've got to find your own wins. You've got to overcome your fears, go all in, even when you've got nothing at all. Find your wins. And when you do, raise that glass of New Amsterdam Vodka in victory. You've earned it. New Amsterdam Spirits Company, Modesto, California.
Middle Tennessee, you can count on an award-winning service team for all your home maintenance and improvement needs. Lee Company, we're A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau and trusted by thousands of homeowners in our community. Our team is ready to assist with all your home maintenance projects, heating and air conditioning, plumbing, electrical, appliance service, and more. Experience the convenience of calling one phone number for all your home maintenance needs. Call Lee Company today at 615-567-1000 or visit leecompany.com.
Do you have a VA loan? In this housing market, homeowners with VA loans have access to a ton of instant cash. Willie Donick here. If you need cash for that home improvement or want to finally be credit card debt-free, how does a check for 80 or 90 grand sound right now? Loan Pronto is helping veterans every day get the money they need with a quick and easy, zero-cost cash-out refi with zero closing costs. With a VA loan, it's really cool because you can access up to 100% of your home's value. Use that money to pay off all your high-interest debt or remodel your kitchen, or both. Loan Pronto's all-digital process makes it fast and easy. They're doing loans with super low APRs, and they love working with veterans. In fact, Loan Pronto does zero down purchases for veterans buying a new home. Call now to see what your options are. Call Loan Pronto at 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780. Or go to loanpronto.com. 615-499-5780. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
Drivers who switch and save with Progressive save over $700 on average, and those savings add up. Imagine what you could buy in the future.
Hey, remember how 20 years ago I switched to Progressive? Well, now it's the future, and I used all those savings to buy this new hologram phone. Because, it's the future, and everything is holograms now.
So switch to Progressive and save big because those savings can add up in the future. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National annual average insurance savings by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive in 2020. Potential savings will vary.
How can a half-carat diamond magically grow into a 2-carat diamond? With Genesis Diamond's 110% diamond upgrade guarantee.
Our trade-up policy is the best in the United States.
That's Stasia at Genesis, explaining how if you buy a diamond today and want to trade it in for a bigger one next year, Genesis always gives you back your original purchase price plus an extra 10%.
We will gladly give you every single penny you paid for the diamond plus an extra 10%, which is amazing. No one does that.
As a real-life example, take Stasia's customer Paul.
When he first started, he got a half carat, and then as he became more successful, we rewarded him. He came in and he got a 3/4 carat, and then he's traded for a carat. I'm sure I'll see him this year for a carat and a half. As they grow and change and become more successful, their engagement ring can grow with them also.
And there's no catch, no minimum trade-up requirement, and it works on diamond studs and diamond pendants as well.
You get every single investment dollar you put into the diamond, you will get an extra 10% towards the new diamond.
Genesis Diamonds and luxury pre-owned Rolexes.
You can trade as many times as you wish.
Continuously voted best jewelry store and best place to buy an engagement ring. Green Hills and Cool Springs.
ESPN's Turon Davenport breaks down the Titans like no other.
On the field chemistry, I don't think it's going to be a problem. It's just going to be a process.
Catch TD Mondays at 11, Thursdays at 3, and Fridays at 8. Plus, the Talking with TD podcast drops every Wednesday.
When you draft players, it's not just for one season, it's for a career.
Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey Nashville, this is Rick Stockstill, and you're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
What's the most important need for them, or who are some players that might make sense for Tennessee in that 26 range?
Yeah, I think a receiver, and I think there's going to be some there at that point. I mentioned Calvin Austin III earlier out of Memphis. He's an intriguing guy because he can fly, and he catches the football, and he's tough, and he has the punt return ability to help out Ryan Tannehill. He'll help out that offense, and they want somebody who can give them that ability after the catch and be a threat with the ability with the ball in his hands. And I think Jahan Dotson could, or like I say, a Calvin Austin III. I love Skye Moore. If you're going to pass on a receiver early, don't forget about the Western Michigan Dynamo. You go back to, I know you're going to look at Skye Moore. You got to be impressed with this kid. To me, he's a second or third rounder. He's a guy very underrated, and a guy that's going to, Kyle Phillips, if you're looking at a slot guy out of UCLA in the third or fourth round, there's going to be some guys beyond the first round that you can pick up at a slot or a wide situation that's going to help you right away.
That was Mel Kiper, draft guru, of course, on the wide receivers that the Titans could potentially pick up in this year's draft. And I think that Mel Kiper makes a fairly good point about yards after the catch.
Yep.
And I think that's what makes A.J. Brown so freaking valuable to this team. But I also look at the other side of it is, what is the ceiling for this offense with Ryan Tannehill at the helm? Because I don't think, if I'm Mike Vrabel and I'm looking at this offense, I don't think that my number one priority is throwing the football and slinging the football downfield, because my quarterback can't do that. I don't want my quarterback to do that.
You don't like Tannehill, do you?
No, I do not. No, well, look, Tannehill's. You can't win a Super Bowl with Tannehill. So, he's fine. He can win games. He's gotten this team to the playoffs, but he turns the ball over. He throws interceptions. He's very, very calculated in his decision-making, and I don't think that you can win a Super Bowl with him. And I do think that the Titans are eventually going to make a move to move on from Tannehill, but that also puts the Titans in a difficult position of building up the team now with the question of quarterback in the future. So Chris Sanders,
yes, sir.
Former wide receiver.
You made me sound old.
This is forever.
There we go. That's
forever
better.
Wide receiver. We've heard from all of the draft gurus that this is a stacked wide receiver draft. Yeah. And the drafts of past have also been very stacked wide receiver drafts. And we've also seen that rookie wide receivers can make contributions right now. When you look at Jamar Chase in his first year in the league, went to the Super Bowl. You look at Justin Jefferson, another young guy in the league who's making contributions right now. Young wide receivers can make contributions right now. I'm not going to say is there, because there absolutely are plenty of wide receivers in this draft that can make a contribution to the Titans team right now. Who stands out to you?
But see, here's the thing. All the receivers are good, but you want to get an impact player. And if you look in this draft, there's about 4 or 5 guys that are impact players. We talk about Drake London from USC. We got Garrett Wilson from The Ohio State University. And the guy that I really love, but he's injured, is Jameson Williams from Alabama. If he's healthy and he didn't get hurt in the game, you're talking about maybe being a top 10 to a number one, the number one pick overall because he's that explosive. But if you look at overall, I love the guys from The Ohio State University. And I'm not just saying because I went to that school. You have Olave from Ohio State. You have Garrett Wilson from Ohio State. Those guys are very solid players. And when I say very solid players, they understand how to run routes. They understand they got a game plan at the line of scrimmage. They understand how to set guys up. So when you have a guy that's polished at wide receiver, then now you bring him into the fold, and all he got to do is learn the offense and come in and be an impact player.
Who do you think that is?
You're trying to get me in trouble. You know, everybody, I know we just talked to Corey Kurtz. I know he likes Traylon Burks from Arkansas. I think he's very good, but I think in this league you're going to have to run routes. If we're sitting at 26 and I got Garrett Wilson from The Ohio State University and I have Chris Olave from Ohio State,
if Olave's there at 26,
I'm taking Olave.
You have to.
You got to because he brings so much to the team. We always talk about, the last couple of years we need a slot speed guy. And when you have Chris Olave, he's one of those guys that can be a dual threat. You have A.J. Brown outside. You have Chris Olave inside. They can take the top off the defense, run those choice routes, catch the ball. And we talked about a few seconds ago about yards after the catch. And when you have two guys like that on the field at the same time, they just went from an offense that was good to very, very explosive.
You bring up Jameson Williams, and that's a player that formerly I thought, man, if the Titans can get him, that is a dude.
But would you get him while he's hurt, though?
No, absolutely not. And that is my thing. That is my absolute – I have two absolute no-nos, absolutely not. Please do not, dear God, John Robinson, don't do it.
Yeah.
I'm out on trading up.
I wouldn't trade up either.
Titans have too limited of draft capital
100%.
to deal any more of it to move up a few spots. I'm against moving up. I think that the Titans have far too many needs, and there are far too many good enough players in this draft that can contribute to the Titans right now that they can grab at 26. I'm okay with trading back, pick up a few more picks, maybe get a second rounder, maybe package up those third rounders and elevate it to a second rounder. I'm anti-moving up. But my other thing that I am absolute no, absolutely not, no more injured players.
But see, you're taking a chance. I mean, we
took a chance with Caleb Farley.
Caleb Farley, and then they took a chance with Dupree. I know that's a little separate situation. Dupree was hurt. I mean, it's not get drafted, but Dupree came in and he was hurt. But you took a chance on him coming back because he got hurt so late. But it panned out because later in the season he became that explosive player that he was with the Pittsburgh Steelers. So when you start getting hurt players, you're taking a risk. Look at Caleb Farley, just like what you said. He may be a shutdown corner, but you can't be a shutdown corner if you're always in the training room. So I just think that we need to avoid that. I understand the temptation to get Jameson is really big because it could pan out later on. But we're not looking for later on. We're looking for now because you got the defense, you got the running back. I know they're searching for a quarterback. The time is now for the Tennessee Titans to go to the Super Bowl.
And you say you're taking a risk on an injured player, and I could add that you're taking a risk on any player that you draft.
Absolutely.
I mean, Isaiah Wilson was not injured. He was one big heck of a risk that didn't end up panning out. So you're not going to add a risk of drafting a player that may or may not pan out in the league and also added another injury risk on top of that. See that with Caleb Farley. That put the Titans in such a difficult position in terms of the secondary. And here we are in the 2022 draft in the same position the Titans were in the 2021 draft, and that was needing depth at the corner position because they drafted an injured player, and injured players get more injured. And do I think that Caleb Farley can work out in the long run?
Absolutely.
Sure. I'm absolutely not ruling that out. But when you draft a player in the first round, they need to be able to contribute right now.
Oh, 100%.
And Jameson Williams was injured in what, January?
Yeah, late.
Late January.
Late
so you're looking at what, an October, November return?
That was in the championship game, right?
Championship game.
That's January. January. Season, and then now you're counting on him to come in and play right away when he's still rehabbing. I understand when he was with the LA Rams, he had tremendous numbers. But at the end of the day, if you get hurt in November, you still have to go through rehabilitation. You still have to go through those things, and then you might not go through OTAs, and you might not come back until October. So who's going to fit that slot of coming in to play if you continuously bringing in hurt players?
615-737-1025 is our phone number. Now, wide receiver is absolutely on the list of players that the Titans could draft. That's a position of need, and this is a deep wide receiver draft. But there are so many other areas that the Titans could look at. Is there one, and we talk about players being able to contribute right now, but is there one player that may not be able to contribute right now, but would set up the Titans for a whole lot of success, and is it worth it? We'll get into that coming up next. Stillman and Company, Caroline Fenton, Chris Sanders. We're live on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
I'm Fox 17 News Code Red meteorologist Dan Guthrie. Temperatures this afternoon only headed to the middle and upper 50s under mostly sunny skies with patchy frost, again possible early Saturday morning.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
HGTV's Build It Forward in collab with Lowe's and 100 Hometowns. We'll select 5 local heroes for a surprise home renovation of their dreams. Saturday at 5 p.m. Central on HGTV and Discovery Plus.
This is Chef John from Kitchen Notes at the Omni Nashville. Invite you to come join us for breakfast and lunch. We are offering some exciting new menu items. For breakfast, we have a smoked prime rib hash. Comes with a sunny side up egg, hominy, caramelized onions. It's a great start to your day. We are featuring a sourdough pancake made with a sourdough bread starter. It's a fun spin on the classic buttermilk pancake. As always, Kitchen Notes is serving biscuits all day. Come join us and create a memorable experience here at the Omni Hotel. Food is all about memories for us. We'd like you to start a new memory here at Kitchen Notes in the Omni Hotel.
Breakfast at Kitchen Notes in the Omni Nashville Hotel.
Hey, it's Chase McCabe here to tell you about Dr. Kelly Rice Family Cosmetic and Dental Sleep Medicine. Dr. Rice, listen, we all have cavities, but what's the best way to try and keep them from happening?
Cavities are like any other health condition. You don't really know you have one until it gets bad. Recently, I saw a patient for treatment that they had been putting off. Something that could have been simple to fix 6 months ago turned out to need a root canal and a crown. Postponing treatment costs more and takes time away from work.
Nobody wants a root canal, so you're right. Regular checkups are very important.
Well, we do things differently. I want to let people know that if they're afraid of pain or worried about the cost, they are not alone. Don't be embarrassed. We understand. Give us a call at 615-373-4488. That's KellyERice.com.
Dr. Kelly Rice Family Cosmetic and Dental Sleep Medicine. If you don't have dental insurance, no problem. Be sure to join their membership club. Just visit KellyERice.com or call 615-373-4488 now to schedule your cleaning and checkup. You'll certainly be glad you did.
Parman Energy is your one-stop petroleum solution across all of Tennessee, offering turnkey petroleum solutions for professionals in major industries, serving trucking fleets, construction companies, industrial plants, and more. Whether a large corporation or owner-operator, Parman Energy has your diesel fuel, lubricant, DEF, and equipment needs. No matter how you're getting there, start with Parman. Visit ParmanEnergy.com for more info. Your Tennessee petroleum solution, providing totally outrageous customer service.
Circle up, team. We've got status.
Evelyn's marketing consultancy client roster is skyrocketing.
Okay, so this week is a biggie. We've got the pitch and 3 client meetings.
She needs another analyst before her team's free time plummets.
Who's running the competitive analysis on fruit snacks?
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Our hiring platform instantly connects you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Listen to Stillman and Company with me, Caroline Fenton, all season long on ESPN 102.5 The Game for your chance to win Nashville Sounds tickets courtesy of 312 Pizza Company in Germantown.
Inside knowledge on the Titans.
Todd Downey's got his notepad out right now, just writing things down.
Inside knowledge on the Predators.
They can go right into the forecheck, and boom, you get a beautiful goal from Colton Sissons.
And then there's a team in Knoxville.
How excited should Tennessee fans be by what they've seen from Josh Heupel in year 1?
Wake up and hang out with Robbie and Rexroad. Weekday mornings from 6 to 10. Brought to you by Little Guys Movers on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Watch live on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube.
You're listening to Stillman and Company, delivered by TriStar Moving.
Right now, I would say offensive line is the way to go as long as at 26 they've got an offensive lineman that is at or near the highest ranked guy at that position in the first round. I would not draft a quarterback at that spot if I am Tennessee. It would be offensive line, the very first choice. Second choice would be wide receiver. Quarterback, I would wait if I'm going to take one in this draft until the third round or maybe move up into the second.
That was Trevor Maddich on our show earlier this week. He says not draft a quarterback. And we've talked to Trevor every week over the past few months.
Right.
Trevor is a lot higher on Ryan Tannehill than I think I am. He's definitely way higher on Ryan Tannehill than I know Jared is. So he looks at this Titans team and he thinks at the quarterback position, it's constructed well enough in order to be able to win. So I'm not surprised at the fact that Trevor is looking at this Titans team and saying, look, you got a big hole in the offensive line. You got need at wide receiver. So you address those first. And I disagree. Because if I am John Robinson, my number one draft plan, and of course your draft plan is going to be so layered. There's going to be so many avenues to it. There's going to be so many facets of who's on the board and who's the best available.
100%.
What are some needs of your team? But going into that draft, I would be going into it looking at drafting Desmond Ridder.
But
I would be looking at drafting a quarterback. And there's a caveat to that,
Right,
that you
right.
address your quarterback need of the
100%, yeah.
future. And, it'd be set up for a good position in terms of the quarterback position of Desmond Ridder gets drafted. It's competition for Tannehill in spring practice, in training, kind of nipping at the heels of Ryan Tannehill. And what have we seen from Ryan Tannehill in the past? The best he played was when he's playing with everything to lose, when he's playing for a contract. So when he's playing with a legitimate backup quarterback that the Titans spent first-round draft stock on, that is playing when you have everything to lose. And you're drafting for the future as well.
True.
He could sit on the bench for a year, 2 years, develop, learn the offense, learn the team, get stronger, work on his accuracy, because we talked to TD yesterday. He said that's his number one issue.
Right.
He has accuracy issues. Work on that. And then after a year or two of sitting on the bench, and he's developed and he's ready to start. But in this 2022 draft, you draft a quarterback in the first round, you have no second-round pick, and you have those picks later in the draft, and you still have no offensive lineman. And you still have very little depth at wide receiver. And the other wide receiver that you brought in is coming off of an ACL tear. So you don't know when he will be ready, and it's likely that he may not be ready for week 1. So while I go into it, I want a quarterback.
Okay.
And not drafting a quarterback doesn't mean that the Titans don't have a plan at quarterback.
Right.
But that's my plan. Get Desmond Ridder, develop him over the next couple of years, go from there.
We're still friends, right? I agree.
Of course we're still friends.
I agree with you about.
Give it to me straight,
I agree.
Chris.
I agree with you about 67%.
Okay,
but
that's
I
a very
agree.
precise number.
I know. I agree with Trevor, and the reason why I agree with Trevor is because J-Rob and Mike Vrabel, when they draft, they want to draft a guy that fits the identity of their team. What's the identity of their team? A guy that's physical, a guy that's smart, a guy that's versatile, and a guy that's very, very disciplined. And if you look at the board, if you look at the quarterbacks, you got Desmond Ridder, Matt Corral from Ole Miss, Carson Strong from Nevada, Sam Howell from North Carolina, and Kenny Pickett from Pittsburgh. But then you have the dogs. And when I say the dogs, the offensive line, you have Trevor Penning, you have Yvonne Neal, you have Kenny Green. You have guys that can come in and be nasty that fits the identity of your team. So if I'm sitting at 26 and Trevor Penning from Northern Iowa sitting there, I'm going to get him. I know Olave's good. I understand that, Garrett Wilson from Ohio State receivers are great. But when you're talking about picking a guy that fits your identity of your team, he's nasty, he's physical, he's smart. I think that's a guy that the Tennessee Titans need to pick. If you look at the Tennessee Titans offensive line, you got Taylor Lewan, you got Brewer, you got Davis, you got Radence. They don't scare you. The only guy that basically scares you on that team is maybe Lewan. That's kind of physical and nasty, but he does some goofy stuff.
He's goofy and he's hurt.
He's hurt. But if you have a Trevor Penning that after every rep, the defense wants to fight him. He reminds me of John Runyon. John Runyon was a funny dude. He played offensive line. He's one of those guys to where, he never says anything, but between the lines, he's going to choke you. I mean, he's going to do a spree wheel on you. He's going to choke you. And I watched the Trevor Penning at the Senior Bowl. Every play, he's throwing people around in the compounds of between the lines. And he brings a nastiness, a tenacity that just fuels fire and he just makes you mad and you want to fight him in practice. That's the guy that I want. That's why I agree with Trevor about picking the guy, offensive tackle.
Then what's your plan at quarterback?
You're going to have to, yeah.
So that's
a good point.
It's all about opportunity cost with the draft because let's say they go with an offensive tackle. You ideally solve that issue at offensive line, adding more offensive line depth.
Yeah.
But then you still that need for wide receiver still exists, and you still have a need for drafting the quarterback of your future. Because I mean, you can defend Tannehill all you want, and you can hate Tannehill all you want, but we all have to agree that the Titans are planning on moving forward without Ryan Tannehill in the very near future.
Yeah, but let me play a little bit of devil's advocate. Just imagine, say, if Tannehill comes out this year and throws for over 4,800 yards and 37 touchdowns. I'm just saying, and 37 touchdowns. And I'm just saying, because anything can happen. Because if you look at what was the guy who played for the Kansas City Chiefs before Mahomes got there? I can't remember his name.
Alex Smith.
Alex Smith.
Uh-huh.
Alex Smith had a terrible year before that. All of a sudden, they bring Mahomes in. He has the best career of his life.
But he's not Patrick Mahomes.
I agree with you 100%, but he threw for over, 4,300 yards that year and had 40 touchdowns or something like that. But when you get a little pressure, you play well, then what do you do? So you have Tannehill. Say Tannehill throws for 36 touchdowns and 4,800 yards. Do you keep him? Or do you still draft a quarterback that he's going to sit for 2 or 3 more years?
Well, that's a decision that they're going to have to make
it's
this
tough.
year.
I agree.
And it's one question that, do you think that Tannehill's a bad quarterback, or do you think he's a good quarterback who had a bad season? And I think that's a question that they need to ask.
What do you think about if he just is he a good quarterback that just had a bad year or vice versa?
He's fine. He's fine.
It's like this. It's like when somebody just imagine.
You can't win a Super Bowl.
No,
with
it's
him.
like this. It's like this because you remind me of like a grandma. When they see no, not you. When they see when just imagine when somebody carrying
what the heck,
no,
man?
not a grandma, but it's kind of like a grandma does this because grandmas never want to be mean. But just imagine somebody brings a baby to their grandma and the baby's not attractive. They say, "Oh, bless your heart."
Bless your heart moment.
Because I'm saying bless your heart, but you're really not good looking.
No.
So that's what you're saying. You're saying he's all right, but he's really a bad quarterback.
You can't win a Super Bowl with him. So I think that's the only question that you need to ask. Can you win a Super Bowl with your quarterback? Does your quarterback elevate the rest of your team?
I think you can.
No, Chris. No.
Yeah. Okay. You know I'm gonna tell you why. Is it okay? In 2019. The Tennessee Titans had Mariota. Mario was an okay quarterback. They were 2-4. They were 2-4, and they were getting ready to come to the meat of their schedule. Tannehill comes in, and what happens? They go to the what? Come on, you got to talk to me. What did they go?
The AFC Championship.
AFC Championship game.
What year was that, Chris?
That was 2019.
What did they do in 2021?
We got to go. Okay, you can't go from 2019 to 2021. Now let's go to 2020.
He went from 2022 to 2019.
Okay, let's go to 2020. 2020, he threw for 33 touchdowns, right? Mm-hmm. And they had a great season. Last year, he did
they
terrible.
win the Super Bowl?
Can we go to commercial break?
And that's my thing. When A.J. Brown is out there, and also in 2020, he had Jonnu Smith.
Yeah.
And he had those weapons that he trusted and that he could throw to. In 2019, 2020, he had A.J. Brown. He had Jonnu Smith. He had a healthy Derrick Henry. And without a healthy Derrick Henry, and with A.J. Brown in and out of the lineup, and with a Julio Jones that played very few snaps, without Jonnu Smith, that's what we saw from Ryan Tannehill.
But should you give him
elevated by the rest of his team.
But shouldn't you give him a pass because they had so many injuries?
Who gets a pass when you make $30 million a year?
That's a great point. But at the end of the day, when you start breaking up a team and you start bringing different people in, you mess up the camaraderie. If he didn't gain the respect of his peers, and I know we always talk about being great leaders and all that, but I think he has the respect of his players. And when guys respect you, they're going to play hard, and he's going to play hard. I just think that what he has to do is, TD said this a long time ago, he needs to get that cockiness back. Mm-hmm. When you get that cockiness back to where, you know what, I don't care what the defense throws at me, I'm going to make plays. This year he didn't have it. He was kind of unsure. But if he gets that cockiness back, that attitude, that swagger of I'm coming to win the game, then I think you still have something.
That's a big if, and I'm not willing to bank on it. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. We've got to get to Chad Wither. We're going to talk to Chad Wither about some of the biggest stories around the league. We'll get to him coming up next. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Join 1025 tonight for the Preds Bud Light Watch Party at Headquarters Beercade. Drink specials, enter to win Preds tickets, and watch the Preds take on the Buffalo Sabres. It's the Preds Bud Light Watch Party at Headquarters Beercade, located at 114 2nd Avenue South downtown. Puck drops at 6 o'clock tonight.
TriStar Movers, those are my official movers, and I absolutely love TriStar. Been telling you about TriStar for years now, or I say years, a year and a half now, because when I moved in 2020, I used TriStar Movers, and for something that I hate, as stressful as moving, they did a fantastic job. That's why their motto is TriStar Movers with 5-star service. From the initial phone call to the final signature, moving was a breeze. They offer home protection, so they cover your floors, banisters, railings, door jambs, and even the doors themselves. And they're always upping the game when it comes to mover training. They have a brand new state-of-the-art storage facility in Mount Juliet as well, because they do it all. Their owners, Garrett and Robert, are my friends and true Nashvillians that truly care about helping the people of their hometown. This company is the real deal and on the rise quickly because of the high standard that they hold. So if you're looking to move, give my friends at TriStar Moving a call, 615-640-1219, or visit their website, nashvillemoving.org/radio. Again, they'll give you 5% off your entire move. That's TriStar Moving, 615-640-1219, nashvillemoving.org/radio. Tell them I sent you. TriStar Moving, my official movers.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Experience the spirit of summer. Collective Soul. Switchfoot. September 11th at Grand Ole Opry House. Tickets on sale now at Opry.com. Collective Soul. Switchfoot. It's about music. It's about live. It's about time.
Has she seen an engagement ring she really loves? A unique look from a top-notch designer? You won't find it at just any store, but you will at Genesis Diamonds.
At Genesis Diamonds, we work with the most sought-after designers in this country. We are proud to feature lines like Tacori, Baraggio, Kurt Cara, Henry Dawsey, A. Jaffe, Jeff Cooper, Gabriel, and many more.
Since other jewelers can't get these designers, David says beware of knockoffs.
Often stores will result to copying or knocking off a designer ring just to compete with Genesis. And oftentimes, you will actually pay the same, if not more, for that fake.
Why risk it? Genesis has the real deal. Unique, handcrafted, cutting-edge designs and award-winning craftsmanship.
So not only will you get the exact product you wish with the brand you trust, but at a price that you can afford.
Get her the
Chad Withrow of Outkick 360 joins us. Now, Stillman and Company represented by TriStar Moving. TriStar Movers with 5-star service. You can watch us streaming on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook live streams brought to you by the law offices of Amanda Gentry, broadcasting live from the Hillside Medical Game Studio. Chad Withrow joins us now. Now, first and foremost, Chad, the biggest news in the NFL this week, Bruce Arians retires. And I almost want to put like quotations around the word retires, because I vehemently believe that this has Tom Brady written all over it. That Tom Brady went to the Manchester United game a few weeks ago, told the Glazer family, I come back on one condition, and that's if Bruce Arians is not my coach. What kind of school of thought do you believe in? What do you think was the motivating factor for Bruce Arians retiring?
So let's go with the conspiracy theory of it that you're throwing out there. And I buy it to an extent because the timing of it, right? You know, there were these reports that Brady and Byron Leftwich were very much in lockstep with what they wanted to do. And there was some interference from Arians that caused some problems at times. So if that's the case, you know, Brady hastily announces his retirement because his own retirement gets scooped by ESPN. So then he comes back and he retires. 2 months later, he unretires. You wouldn't want the timing to be Bruce Arians retires and then Tom Brady comes out of retirement. You also don't want it to be bang, bang of Tom Brady comes back, and then Bruce Arians immediately announces retirement, because then people could easily put it together. So if you're going to do the trickle of the news, Brady comes back, but he has the stipulation that Bruce Arians can't be the coach. Bruce Arians knows he's not going to be the coach. They don't really tell anyone else, because it is true he told Todd Bowles when he was going to a Charlotte Hornets game, you know, the night before it became official. So no one else in the organization really knew. So they kept everyone else in the dark. So, yeah, I mean, I think I buy it to an extent that they would time it out that way to make Tom Brady not look like a coach killer in all of this and kind of save face. But it's also odd to me that if he's so in lockstep with Byron Leftwich, I feel like Byron Leftwich wants to be a head coach at some point. Then why was Byron Leftwich not the replacement? So it's almost like the Bucs organization and Arians kind of got their way on the way out by promoting Todd Bowles and not giving it to Byron Leftwich. But I also see it as Byron Leftwich now gets to run the offense without any impediment with an offensive-minded head coach. And then Todd Bowles, who's been a head coach before, you don't want someone taking their first job as a head coach in this situation where you have the roster to win a Super Bowl. So you have a guy that's got some experience being a head coach, you elevate him, and then you let Byron Leftwich be the head coach of the offense with Tom Brady riding shotgun. I'm kind of with you, Caroline. I mean, I don't know for sure, but I think you can easily piece this puzzle together and say the timing plays out that way.
It's definitely very suspicious. And that's the thing, is the timeline of it all just doesn't necessarily add up. But do you think that without Bruce Arians as head coach, the Bucs are a better team? Because I've noticed in the sports books, there have been no shifts in Super Bowl odds. There have been no shifts on an over-under of a win total. Are the Bucs even better without Bruce Arians?
I think they're the same. You know, I really do. I don't know, and I like Bruce Arians, but I think there are very few head coaches in the NFL that really elevate. There's a lot of guys in college. Coaching can elevate a lot more, and a really good head coach can elevate a level of talent to an extent. You know, you're not going to take 2- and 3-star talent and go win a national title, but you can elevate in the college game, and a coach can elevate an organization. In the NFL, there are very few coaches that you can pinpoint and say, this coach can take less and do more. And I'm not putting Bruce Arians in that category. I think Bruce Arians has a really nice career. He's a great offensive mind, did great things as a coordinator, did some good things as a head coach, obviously won a Super Bowl. But Todd Bowles doesn't have the best record in his time as a head coach with the Jets. But I also don't think they get much worse with Todd Bowles as the coach. I think the key thing is Brady being happy, Brady feeling like he's got autonomy with what he wants to do, and that he's got a partner. Notice I didn't say a boss. He's got a partner as his offensive coordinator. He wants someone to help him see things from the sideline that can help him better do his job. And I think he has that with Byron Leftwich. So if those pieces are the same, I really think the Bucs are the same. I don't think they're any better or worse without Bruce Arians.
Chad Withrow, Outkick 360 is with us. Chad Withrow brought to you by Apple Collision Centers, online at applecollisioncenters.com. So let's operate under our conspiracy theory being true, that Tom Brady, that was his demand to the Glazer family to come back to play for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, was that Bruce Arians is out as head coach. That's a whole heck of a lot of power being placed onto a player. And I look at Russell Wilson. I look at Devontae Adams. I look at Tyreek Hill. players that also essentially scripted their next landing spot in the NFL. And of course, having a no trade clause does grant the player a lot of power of where they land. But I look at Russell Wilson, scripted his exit out of Seattle. I look at Tyreek Hill, who essentially shopped Miami. I look at Devontae Adams, who said, I always wanted to go back and play with Derek Carr, my college quarterback. So that's what I'm going to do, and I'm going to get paid a whole heck of a lot of money doing it. I think now more so than ever in the NFL, there is so much power for the players. And for the Titans on the other side, A.J. Brown and Jeffrey Simmons are two players coming down the stretch that can get paid, that could sign very big contracts very, very soon. And it almost makes me nervous for the Titans looking to see how much power players can have and seeing if A.J. Brown and Jeffrey Simmons could eventually exercise that power and say, this is the market for my position. And if I don't get that, either I hold out or I shop around to find someone who does.
Well, let's add a player to that list that you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
How about Deshaun Watson? You want to talk about
Deshaun
power?
Watson.
The guy gets protected from everything. Any discipline, all the money's it's guaranteed. There's a reason that the rest of the league is pissed off at the Browns for that contract, because now they know they're going to have their quarterback's agent coming to them saying, hey, it's possible now. Preston's been set. Look what Deshaun Watson got. My guy can get the exact same. And that's why the league gets mad. I think Tyreek Hill and Devontae Adams are the outliers here. I don't think they have that much power. I think you saw two organizations go out of their way to accommodate two guys who they feel like were good for their teams and their organizations to help them find a landing spot where they wanted to go. I don't think you'll see that all the time. Now, the quarterback dilemma you bring up is valid. And there's only really 5 to 7 guys in the league that could have that power. Russell Wilson being one of them. Certainly Aaron Rodgers could bend the Packers' will to his way.
And he did.
And he did, yeah. And Tom Brady is another one, that absolutely could wield that type of power. I hate it. One of the last bastions of great team play is football. That's the sport where the contracts aren't guaranteed. The quarterback's going to make more money, and we all know the quarterback's more important, but you can't get a coach fired. You can't get yourself traded. The organization still, for the most part, has the power. That's changing. And I think you laid it out nicely, Caroline, the different examples of that changing. But there are a handful of quarterbacks in the NFL now. They're basically NBA diva level. And I'm not calling these guys divas. I'm saying they have the power of LeBron James. They had the power. If Giannis wanted to be a bad guy in the organization and get his coach fired, he could. Mm-hmm. There are guys, and go to every NBA team, there's probably one guy on every team that is powerful enough to get their coach fired, to get a guy traded that they don't like. And that's the reality of that sport. And I hate it. I hate that part of the sport. And I think we're getting to that area now. I think Kyler Murray tried to play that card with the Cardinals, and he's finding out he's not one of the 7 guys I'm talking about. He's not in that class of guy who can dictate exactly what he wants and get it done. But if you're one of those guys and you're one of those quarterbacks, you are now basically an NBA star. And I think that's a dangerous direction to go for the league. But no, you nailed it. Those guys now have the power. There's no doubt.
And that's exactly the point that I was making yesterday, was the NFL is no better than the NBA if you let players demand what they get and you let players go where they want to go or hold all of the power. And I look at Lamar Jackson as well. I think so many people in the league, players included, looked at Lamar Jackson almost puzzled, like you're not going to have representation. But now Lamar Jackson is sitting back and he lets Patrick Mahomes get paid. He lets Josh Allen get paid. And now Deshaun Watson getting paid $240 million guaranteed. And Lamar Jackson has every right to look at the Ravens and say, look, Deshaun's never been a league MVP, but I have. So if he's getting paid $240 million, that's what I want too.
And Lamar Jackson has handled this beautifully. I mean, he's not spoken on social media. He's been very quiet. Everything you read about the guys, that he's a great teammate, that he's almost of the mindset that, maybe I'm not worth all of this until I, win a Super Bowl, which I'm sure his team and organization loves that mindset. No, I'm with you. It looks crazy that he doesn't have an agent. And maybe it'll turn out that it is crazy. I compare it to Ronald Acuna for the Braves and Ozzie Albies. I mean, those guys, I understand they're making millions. They got played. They got some bad advice from their representation, and the Braves worked that masterfully to get those guys locked up for the bulk of their careers and not at top dollar, which they deserve. They deserve in the market, I'll say. I think that's going to be a fun one to follow to see if he gets anything close to that. And I think the answer is yes, he's going to get something close to that.
Last thing for you, Chad Withrow with us, Outkick 360. New overtime rules in the NFL. And I know people feel very, very strongly about the overtime rules one way or another. Do you think that the game is improved with the new overtime rules in the playoffs? Do you care? Do you just hate the whining? What are your feelings about the new overtime rules?
I like it. I mean, anything that gets both teams on the field, that you guarantee that is good. My one criticism – well, and also, you're a big college football fan, like I am. I'm always amazed at the reluctance of the NFL just to say, college got it right years ago. Like, they're so stubborn about it because I think college got it right with their overtime system. Now, they've tweaked it also because we've had these, LSU was involved in one of them with these ridiculously long overtime scenarios, and you want to avoid that. But at least getting to a point where both teams are guaranteed to touch the ball, getting to a point now where you're going to see the team that wins the coin toss elect to defer, much like you do in college, to find out what the offensive team does first. I think that's a win for football. Just make it for the whole season. It's ridiculous to me to say, okay, we care so much about the playoff system being improved, but only in the playoffs. We're okay with this outdated system in the regular season, but we want to make the playoff product better. Just go ahead and make a sweeping change and do it throughout the regular season also. That's really my only complaint about it. But, yeah, I mean, I'm a fan of this as opposed to their old system.
I am too, and I always say the NFL is built to be completely equal. It's a socialist league. Everything is equal. So why is overtime not? Why do both teams not get an opportunity to get the ball on both sides? But I digress. I think it's
it's player safety, Caroline. Come on. That's all about player safety.
Yeah, let's just bash our heads against each other for 60 minutes. But in overtime, we're going to be concerned about safety.
I could make any unpopular decision if I were the head of the league and just throw 2 words back at someone who complained and say player safety. Player safety. That's it. It's all about player safety. And we're expected to shut up and not talk about it when we all know it's ridiculous. It's about television. It's about television windows that they want to be in. And it's about money, ultimately. That's what's always going to drive pro sports league. It's going to drive the NFL. We all understand that. So save it with the player safety. I didn't hear a lot about player safety when they added playoff teams and when they added a regular season game. We didn't hear a lot about player safety then.
Yeah, because the new overtime rules don't make money and the 17th game does.
Bingo.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. Chad sticks with us coming up next. And the Vols are coming into town this weekend. How big has it been for that fan base to finally have a dominant team wearing the orange and white? We'll get into that coming up with Chad coming up next. Stillman and Company, ESPN 102.5 The Game. town this weekend, their weekend series against Vanderbilt. Now, Vanderbilt has been a dominant force in college baseball for so long in the Tim Corbin era. Tennessee baseball, on the other hand, I think has been a sport that everyone just kind of looked past like it was just one of those other sports and it was so unimportant. But in the Tony Vitello era, things have completely changed. Now, Tennessee coming into Nashville this weekend and take on Vanderbilt, and ticket prices are through the roof. How good has it been for you as a Tennessee fan to be able to kind of tout your hat and look at this Tennessee baseball team and say, we finally have a dominant team, which is something Tennessee really hasn't been able to say for quite some time?
I'm going to be totally honest with you, Caroline. I don't care. I'm not a big college baseball guy. Doesn't really move the needle with me at all. I've been pretty upfront about this. And Vandy fans would crush me if I came on here and said that I really, really care about it, because I've been so down on Vanderbilt's baseball success, because I just don't think it's much of a needle mover. I think it's about the same as women's basketball. You know, I'm excited when the Lady Vols do well. But in terms of interest, I think women's basketball, if you look at the ratings, is better than college baseball. But it's about the same. I think it's great. I mean, don't get me wrong. Tony Vitello, we've had him on our show. Terrific dude. Great personality. The team is not just winning, but fun as hell. Right? They all have a personality. The rest of the league hates them, which I love. They play the villain role well. So I think it's all great for the university. They're going to get a nice ballpark out of it. All good things for Tennessee. The fascinating part about this, and I still give baseball to Vandy, because I think Tim Corbin's won 2 national titles, right? I know he's at least won 2 national titles.
He's 2 and has been to the College World Series.
Yeah, they are still the dominant baseball program in the state, right? I mean, Tennessee may be number 1 in the country right now, but Vandy is the dominant baseball program in the state. So Vandy has baseball. It's really all they have in terms of any sport that anyone cares anything about. I find it fascinating, though, that Tennessee hires this guy, Tony Vitello, who was the hitting instructor at Arkansas, and he transforms Tennessee into this baseball power, kind of taking a little bit of the one thing that Vanderbilt had over Tennessee in sports. So that's a fascinating aspect of this. But I also believe that Tennessee hasn't beaten Tennessee hasn't beaten Vanderbilt in a series in a long time. It's even with all the success, they haven't had much success over Vanderbilt. So, look, I'm going to be monitoring the score of these games, and certainly I want to see what happens. But I'm more of the college baseball guy that says, wake me up in the tournament, and I'll probably tune in to ESPN Plus, wherever those games are being played, and watch a little bit more college baseball. But I will not be watching much of this series this weekend. And I certainly won't be watching in the ballpark at these prices, these outrageous prices.
Outrageous.
People are paying for tickets.
Outrageous prices. But you mentioned the NCAA baseball tournament. There's another pretty big tournament going on this weekend as well, in the NCAA basketball tournament, Final Four this weekend. I know that in your household, you probably have your allegiance to one of the 4 teams in the NCAA tournament in Duke, but I look at this Final Four. I look at Duke, UNC, Villanova, and Kansas, 4 certified blue bloods in college basketball. Do you think that's a good thing or a bad thing for college basketball to have kind of these repeated teams, these blue bloods competing for the championship?
I think it's great for TV ratings. I think, this is the first year since 2018 that the national title game will be on TBS and not on CBS. So I think that's going to hurt the number a bit, especially if let's say it's Duke and Kansas, the 2 favorites. That's going to be a big number, but not being on CBS and being on TBS on cable will hurt it a bit. I think it's great. I mean, you don't get this all the time. This is – you talked about, I think you said socialism, with the NFL and how it's distributed. This is the most democratic of sports in terms of how the tournament is done, right? I mean, it's the most open. It's not the most fair. It doesn't give you always the best team in the country, but the way the process is done leads you to a lot of surprising finishes and surprising teams in the Final Four. And look, this is a surprise. We got 1 seed in this Final Four, and it's Kansas, which not a lot of people are talking about. But to get these 4 storied programs, I think it's terrific. I don't think there's any downside. I don't hear a lot of people complaining about, man, I really wish that Texas Tech would have gone on a run again and got to the Final Four. Man, that Iowa State story was terrific. I'd like to see them in this Final Four. Having Duke, North Carolina, Villanova, Kansas, I think is a win-win for everyone. Kansas-Villanova could be a terrific game, and not as many people care about that. Most years that would be the marquee, the nightcap game. And now that you've got Duke, North Carolina for the first time ever in the tournament going head to head, I mean, it is perfect. It almost feels, going back to your conspiracy theory with Brady, it almost feels scripted when you think about this being Coach K's last year.
It really does feel scripted. And that's my question for you is, do you think this could be the biggest college basketball game of all time? Because I look at these two programs, and if you just asked me on any other day, what are the two most storied, best basketball programs in college basketball, I would have told you UNC and Duke. And in Coach K's last year, in the Final Four, especially in a year that North Carolina, I didn't really think of anything, I didn't think of them as anything special. I didn't even put them in my bracket and going to the Sweet 16. So I look at this matchup, and like you said, it's scripted so perfectly. Is this the biggest college basketball game of all time?
So normally I would say this is proximity bias, and it's not the best game ever because we're inside of it right now. So everything's bigger when it's happening now. But I will say, to your question, if this game turns out to be great, right? Like the lead up to it, I think, is the biggest of all time, separate of Bird versus Magic 79 championship game. Mm-hmm. If I'm talking about the biggest games that you can name it and everyone remembers or knows about, it's 79 title, Bird versus Magic, still the all-time highest watched national championship game. It is Duke, Kentucky, 92, the Leitner shot game, and the start of those two programs being a rival. And I'm putting this one right there with it. The first time Duke and Carolina ever meet in a tournament, being in a Final Four, being in a sold-out dome in front of 71,000 people, in Coach K's final year, the stage is set. So if this game delivers and is close throughout, and we're watching something that's coming down to a final possession, I think the answer will be yes. I think either way. I don't think it matters who wins. I think if it's that good of a game and that competitive, given the circumstances, I think we may come back next week when we're talking and saying it's the most important, biggest college basketball game of all time.
Chad Withrow with us, Outkick 360. Last one for you, Chad. Who you picking this weekend?
I'm going Duke. I'm taking both favorites. I think Justin Moore being out for Villanova, it dooms them. And as good as Jay Wright is in Villanova, I just think that's too difficult to overcome. With 1 week to prepare without your second leading scorer, that's going to be bad for Villanova. I think Kansas wins. I think Kansas covers. And I think Duke – look, North Carolina is very talented. Duke is more talented. And all season, they did not have a counterpunch when people were doing things to them that they could not overcome. They figured that out in this tournament. They have been lights out in the last 8 minutes of every game in this tournament. I think that continues. Give me Duke. Give me Kansas. We're going to have a rematch. In Coach K's final season, we're going to have a rematch of his first national championship game in 1991, the first one that he won, against Kansas in his final game in final season. So I think Duke and Kansas advance to Monday night.
All right, there you go. Bold prediction from Chad. Chad, we appreciate you.
Always fun, Caroline. Tell Jared I said hi. Maybe he'll get back on the bench for the Louisville women's team. They could have a ceremony for him, bring him back, just old times, and let him sit on the bench again. I think that'd be great.
He told me that he was packing his sneakers and his jersey, just waiting and hoping for his turn to get on the court.
They could use that energy with him in warm-ups, I'm sure, as they get ready for this Final Four.
A women's basketball legend, Jared Stillman.
Absolutely.
Proud of him as always. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. And coming up next, we've got new overtime rules in the NFL. Chris Sanders in for Jared Stillman today. As a former offensive player, does he love the new overtime rules and in the playoffs being able to get possession of the ball? Or as an offensive player, does he absolutely hate it? We'll get his expertise on the new overtime rules coming up next. This is Stillman and Company watching ESPN 102.5 The Game.
I love Fireball Sim Whiskey because it goes down so smooth and it tastes so great. There is no better way, and I mean no better way to enjoy ice-cold Fireball Sim Whiskey than with your friends celebrating the big game that, of course, is coming up this weekend. I absolutely love Fireball Whiskey because, again, it goes down so smooth and it tastes so great. Again, ignite the night. Do it with your friends. Do it responsibly. Be 21 years or older to enjoy. That's ice-cold Fireball Sim Whiskey.
Hey, this is Matt Duchene, and this is Smashville.
Running down the left side with Duchene. Duchene scores! Matt Duchene with the overtime winner.
You're listening to the flagship of the Nashville Predators radio network, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
We buy any car.
Finding the right person for the job isn't easy. Just ask someone who hired a lounge singer to be their office receptionist.
Hello, this is Mickey Marquis, and you've reached the office of Doug & Associates. Thank you very much. Catch me Tuesday nights at the Hotel Johnson. Hello?
But if you've got an insurance question, you can always count on your local Geico agent. They can bundle your policies, which could save you hundreds.
Doug & Associates, this is Mickey Marquis. Hello?
For expert help with all your insurance needs, visit geico.com/local today.
And now it's Geico's Motorcycle Rules of the Road. Avoid biking in the rain and never touch another person's bike.
Hey guys, look at these bikes. So shiny. Whoops. I'm gonna leave a note. Oh gosh, there's more.
And the rule to saving on motorcycle insurance is, in 15 minutes, Geico could save you 15% or more.
Markdown Madness is almost over, but Electronic Express is still bringing slam dunk deals. Watch the finals with 4K TVs from Samsung, LG, Sony, Hisense, TCL, and more. We've also got huge savings in every department: computers and gaming, smart home, housewares, mattresses, and more. Plus, save up to 40% on all appliances with up to 36 months free financing. Shop in-store or online with free express delivery on most items. Experience Markdown Madness at Electronic Express. We make it happen.
Gary Ashton here. Most people in Nashville know me as the don't sell without the intel and the guaranteed offer guy. But despite my accent, I'm also 100% guaranteed Nashville. I'm a guaranteed musician, a guaranteed dog lover, and you're also guaranteed to see me at every Titans and Preds game. Guaranteed offer means the Gary Ashton team with RE/MAX Advantage will sell your house for top dollar with no cleaning, staging, showings, or open houses, and give you up to 90 days to close. So there's plenty of time to find your next home. Guaranteed Nashville means my team lives here and loves it here. We've served Nashville for over 20 years, and we're passionate about helping the people we call neighbors and friends, which is why we've had a long-standing tradition of donating to the Vanderbilt Children's Hospital. If you're thinking about a guaranteed offer, get the only one that's guaranteed Nashville. Request a no-obligation offer by calling 615-301-1650 or go to GaryAshton.com today. Remember, Gary Ashton, guaranteed Nashville.
Sunday.
Hi, it's Denny Hamlin. Hey, it's Kyle Busch. Hey, it's Bubba Wallace. Hi, it's Kyle Larson.
The stars of the Cup Series go short track racing at Richmond in the Toyota Owners 400. Coverage at 1:30
On ESPN.
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
What's up, Nashville? This is Stephen A. Smith. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Stillman and Company, ESPN 102.5 The Game. Now join us. We have one final chance for you to win with our 4-team game bracket challenge. Go to theGameNashville.com/bracket challenge now to play for a chance to win a pair of tickets to see Shine Down at Bridgestone Arena on May 4th. The game bracket challenge is brought to you by Coach's Corner Sports Grill in Spring Hill, Days Delta 8, and Wager. Now, Chris, we talked a lot of draft. We talked a new Titan Stadium, and the people have spoken their minds. So unless you have a thought, we're going to go to the phones.
I'm good. I'm ready to roll.
To the phones.
Let's go.
First and foremost, one texter texts in. We're talking about Desmond Ridder potentially being the Titans' target in the first round of the draft. And I said, I think it'd be a great plan. Draft Desmond Ridder, have him sit on the bench for a year or two, develop him, and then he's ready to be the Titans' future franchise quarterback. One texter texts in about that and says, how many star quarterbacks sat on the bench for a year or two and became a starter?
Okay.
Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes. Jared Goff.
Yeah, but we got a different situation here because the Tennessee Titans need to win now because the window is closing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it is. I mean, they got a great defense. They got to make sure whoever they draft is a quarterback, whatever. They need to make sure that person is an impact player.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's so profound because the Tennessee Titans are right there.
Do you think they're still in a window?
Yeah, I do because of their defense. Their defense is
defense
is nasty.
One of the best in the league.
And then we got A.J. Brown. I mean, you know the trade rumors. I don't know if that's going to happen or not. But then I know you got to address the offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
But you still have a couple of pieces away from just making the Super Bowl. You talk about quarterback. I talk about OT, offensive tackle, receiver. You get one of those guys that come in to be impact. I think they can be definitely successful.
But yeah, I mean, the texture text said how many quarterbacks have sat on the bench. And that's I
a good
think,
point.
the biggest philosophical question when drafting a quarterback is sit or start. And you look at some of the quarterbacks in the past who have started right away, and there are some that have been very successful. Right. Matthew Stafford, for example, got drafted by the Detroit Lions and started right away. Lamar Jackson started right away. Joe Burrow started right away. But you look at Andy Dalton, Joe Flacco, Cam Newton, Blaine Gabbert, Blake Bortles, all quarterbacks who started right away, and none of those quarterbacks have starting jobs in the league right now. So I think that there are pros and cons to starting and sitting, but it's not unheard of to draft a quarterback and have him sit and learn for a while. Patrick Mahomes, arguably one of the best quarterbacks in the league. He's had his first year while Alex Smith was still the starter. Aaron freaking Rodgers started.
But
Brett Favre was still a starter.
But I mean, it all depends on who's quarterback's in front. I mean, if the quarterback is really, really struggling and you definitely know that he can't take it to the next level, then immediately you throw that quarterback. Absolutely, because now you can struggle with a quarterback coming in and he can get better. You don't want to stay with the person that has no ceiling and make you better. So I think that, it's okay to sit him down, but you want him to come in and play right away.
Mm-hmm. Another texter texts in and says, what does Chris think about Jahan Dotson from Penn State to the Titans?
First of all, I don't like Penn State. They're in the Big 12. Big 10. I'm just kidding.
All right, take your Buckeye hat off.
No, he's a great player. Yeah. The one thing that I kind of struggle with a little bit is he doesn't have that top-end speed. When he ran the 40-yard dash, I think he ran like a 4.5. In this league, you got to be able to run really, really fast. He runs routes good. He catches the ball well. But you definitely want to get a guy to take the top off the defense. He can do that in the slot, but when you're talking about a receiver outside, he has to be able to take the top off the defense.
My question to you, Chris, is when you're looking at all of these traits that make up an elite wide receiver, good route running, speed, just ability to hold on to the ball, what do you think the Titans need more than anything?
They definitely need a slot guy, a guy that can come in and run routes right away and be polished. And that guy, I keep talking about him, and that's Chris Olave. He's a polished receiver. He's a guy who can run those choice routes. When I say choice routes, to where you can go in or out or break a certain way that the quarterback wants you to. Yeah. So when you have a guy like that, you don't have to teach him a whole bunch and be afraid that he gets in the game and not do great techniques. So you get a guy like that can come in right away, that can understand to get the guy off the spot. When I say get the guy off the spot, get his hips turned and do those little things at the top of the route, he's going to make everybody around you better.
Andrew texts in and says, I love best available, in terms of draft strategy. I love best available always. John Robinson is so much better at best available. I don't know if that's necessarily how you can approach drafting a quarterback because
that's a good point.
That Titans have to go into it like quarterback or not. And then you can go from there.
Yeah.
If it is quarterback, then you do what you need to do to get your guy. If it's not quarterback, then I would agree that best available is the way to go, whether that's wide receiver, whether that's offensive tackle, whether that's corner, whether that's any sort of depth that the Titans could add to their already stacked position groups. Because while the defensive line is stacked and it's one of the best in the league, if the Titans think that the best player on the board is a defensive lineman, you got to take it.
Absolutely. I mean, you made a great point because it's best available. It's not just a guy that's okay. It's available that you have him ranked on your board. So say you have a quarterback that's ranked high, you have an offensive line that's ranked high, you have a tight end that's ranked high. Who did you give a better grade to? That's available at that point. So if you have it in that situation, then you pick that guy because you had him graded higher than all those other three that were available.
And if you're going into it like quarterback or bust, that you can go from there, but I don't think that's necessarily a good position right now because while I'd love for the Titans to draft the quarterback of the future, I don't think you can go into it with that mentality, especially that quarterback's not a need right now, like absolute positive need now.
See, they're not. The Tennessee Titans are not in rebuilding mode. When you're in rebuilding mode, then now you go get a quarterback,
and you go from there.
Then you go from there. But if Tannehill just plays like he's capable of playing and has that grit and that cockiness, then now you don't have to worry about the quarterback position. You can go get an offensive tackle like Trevor Penning from Northern Iowa to fill that offensive tackle position.
We have a bunch of texters texting in about the stadium. One texter texts in, TK says, run the economic feasibility study. I don't know what that is.
I don't know what the heck that means.
I don't know what that is, but okay. 90 plus people per day moving here, plus the impact of our tourism dollars, as well as the jobs of all of the business around the stadium, and you easily have your answer for stadium funding.
Is it that easy?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't think it's that easy. I think that I don't know the way the government funding works, and I'm not going to pretend like I do. But you look at the impact of tourism dollars. that's money that I believe that the Nashville local legislature and the state legislature brings into account for other things that the government has to spend for as well.
Yeah.
And also, you can't just say, well, people are moving here all the time, so there's your money. Like, there are filters that it has to go through, and there are certain pockets that the government allocates funds for. And also, you still need that money right now.
Yeah.
It's not like you can just, take out a loan and say, this is the $2 billion loan that we're going to put forth for the stadium. And then, all the money from the new-to-towners will go to that. I think that while I do think that money from tourism will eventually fill into that pool of the bond that the state is going to take out, you can't just do that right away.
Yeah, and I think the problem too is they don't want to just start hiking the prices up on everything. Ticket prices, going to different places and start making prices so unbearable, because you're gonna, just like I said, you're gonna lose a lot of fans and you're gonna lose a lot of business because the ticket sales or the things that or hotels are getting so much that people are not going to come to this town. So those are things that you want to avoid. But if they can get away with it, I think they'll be okay.
Another texter texts in and says, well, what are the options for a new stadium? Either you get a new stadium or you lose the Titans. So if they want to keep the Titans,
will they lose the Titans?
Everyone might as well get along and get this new stadium built.
But how would they lose the Titans, though? Oh, because of the lease?
Yes, because of the lease.
Yeah, but could you just renew it?
But it needs so many of those
I know.
renovations.
I'm just trying to.
As it always goes back to. And,
Yeah.
When I first saw that being a possibility of losing the Titans, I thought it was almost like unheard of.
Yeah.
But when you think about it, it's not the first time. The same reason why the St. Louis Rams came to St. Louis is the same reason why they left, is because of the stadium and because of the value of the team. When there's not a stadium, there's not a team.
Yeah.
And so, but I do think a lot of people look at it like, we had a caller last week call in and say, I could care less about the Titans being in Nashville. Nashville's already growing at way too high of a rate. But I mean, it's easy for us to say as sports fans.
I absolutely agree.
But I think that there are so many other people living in the city that could care less.
I mean,
but when your tax dollars aren't going toward it,
and I think the Band-Aid is that the Tennessee Titans are winning. That's the Band-Aid to cover it up, because if the Tennessee Titans are losing, I don't think we'd be having this discussion.
Gator Tim texts in and says, what happened to the $4 billion that the Adams family has made from the Titans in the last 20 years?
They made $4 billion?
I don't know. I don't know that. I don't know if that's the exact number. I don't know where he got this. Yeah, seriously.
Give me $5.
Yeah. But I don't know if that's the number. We'll operate under as if that's true.
Yeah.
Amy Adams Strunk owns the team. She splits the money amongst her two other siblings. And also, although you make money off of a team, you also have to invest money into a team. Titans just built a new practice facility. Titans built a new cafeteria in the practice facility. You have to put money forward in order to get money back.
True.
So, I mean, even if, let's say, the team had made $4 billion, I don't know if that's true or not, you got to put that money into it somewhere. So that's not $4 billion in cash that Amy Adams Strunk has sitting in her bank account.
Still a lot of money, though.
Still a lot of money.
I just want $5.
You need $5, Chris?
$5.
I'll Venmo you. I got you, Chris. Don't you worry. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Chris, our coin toss extraordinaire.
Yes, go. Oh, come on. Oh, you got me.
There are some changes in the NFL that could, bring the value of your beloved coin toss down. I want to get your thoughts on it, as well as Predators game day. We'll get into that coming up next. Before we do that, I got to let y'all know that ESPN 1025 The Game is Nashville's official home of NASCAR. Tune in this Sunday at 1:30 for the Toyota Owners 400 at Richmond Raceway. Also, get set for the race with Chasing Checkers every Sunday at 8 a.m. on 1025 The Game.
Hey, it's Jared from my official sportsbook app, the FanDuel Sportsbook app. Right now, FanDuel Sportsbook is giving new customers a $150 instant bonus guaranteed. That's right. You'll get $150 in bonus site credit, and all you have to do is place your first bet of $5 or more. How you bet that bracket is up to you. You can choose from the money line, totals, prop bets, and so much more. Gonna have to go Kansas tomorrow night. There's just something about Villanova after that injury that kind of makes me a little concerned. I'm not exactly sure what they're going to look like without their depth. Duke and North Carolina, to me, is a toss-up. I think I'm leaning Duke, but should be a great game. Join FanDuel today with the promo code JGM, and then you can place your $5 bet to score $150 in bonus site credit. Absolutely, positively guaranteed on the big games this weekend. That's right. Join FanDuel today. Again, that's promo code JGM. on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. 21 and older in present Tennessee. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable site credit that expires 14 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line 1-800-889-9789.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
I'm Fox 17 Code Red meteorologist Greg Bobus. Cold tonight, cold enough for a frost advisory to be in effect late tonight into tomorrow morning. Temperatures dropping into the middle to upper 30s. Afternoon for tomorrow looking much better. We'll be in the middle 60s and partly cloudy.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
When it comes to your credit card, Discover believes in having real people available 24/7 to help answer your questions. Discover. Exceptionally common sense.
Hey guys, it's the new year. Are you still struggling with erectile dysfunction? I've yet to meet anyone that enjoys timing those intimate moments around a pill. Well, now you don't have to. The advanced wave technology at Hillside Medical has been shown by Cambridge University and the Cleveland Clinic to restore and even regrow blood vessels. It can improve circulation and eliminate erectile dysfunction. No pills and no side effects. If you're ready to put a stop to your ED, call us in the next 2 minutes and you'll receive a consultation, assessment, and blood flow ultrasound free, plus a special gift that produces immediate results in the bedroom. You're going to love that. Trust me. This is a $600 value, free to callers now. 615-576-5000. That's 615-576-5000. Guys, get rid of your ED and get that spark back. Call Hillside Medical now to qualify. 615-576-5000.
Coach's Corner Sports Grill, nestled in Spring Hill, Tennessee, is your hometown sports bar. Coaches, players, grandparents, parents, kids, all are welcome. Hang out after a ball game or watch your team win on the big screens. Try their signature hand-patted burgers from the All-American to the X's and O's. Or choose something from the dog pound, such as their chili cheese dog. And don't forget to wash it all down with their 20-plus beers on tap. Coach's Corner Sports Grill, open every day with daily food and drink specials for lunch and dinner. Off Port Royal Road in Spring Hill. Online at coachescornersportsgrill.com.
The racing, the big one, the camping, it's all just bigger at Talladega. And with a doubleheader on Saturday and the premiere of the next-gen cars on Sunday, it's just going to keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. NASCAR's biggest and baddest track is back. The Talladega NASCAR Weekend, April 23rd through the 24th. Get your tickets now at TalladegaSuperspeedway.com.
This is Stillman and Company, delivered by TriStar Moving.
Stillman and Company, ESPN 102.
You was cracking jokes on Jared, wasn't you?
Game. Not me. Could never be me.
I'm going to tell him when he gets back, you said he looked like John Candy.
That is your claim to fame, Chris.
No, you said that.
That is your claim to fame.
I am telling him he's my friend.
Or who does TD look like?
Gary Coleman. or Sam Cassell.
Sam Cassell is my favorite.
That is a good one. That is Steve Harvey.
I love the way he talks. Yeah, Chris, man. You know, I just go with, yeah, just got to go through the draft. That's how I talk.
Poor TD and Jared.
I love that dude.
Can't even pick on people who are here to defend themselves. Poor Jared and TD. But, Chris, I'm going to pick on you for a second.
Oh, my goodness.
Our coin toss extraordinaire, coin toss aficionado. Now, there are some rule changes in the postseason OT in the NFL, which essentially dilutes the importance of the coin toss. Chris Sanders, how are you even going to cope with this new overtime rule where both teams get the ball in OT?
I had to go to Dr. Phil and get canceled. I mean, that's how crazy it was because I love the coin toss. You know, when we talk about the overtime rule, it takes the drama out of it. You know, I mean, I know Andy.
But does it not make it a better product whenever – like, I as a fan, I feel so unsatisfied whenever one team gets the ball, they score, the game's over.
Yeah, but see, the thing about it is both teams has that equal chance to get the ball. When you flip the coin, it's not predetermined that this team is going to get the ball.
You're essentially going to put the game on a quarter.
Okay, I'm going to give you a perfect example.
Okay.
Andy Reid. Andy Reid was against it, right? He was like, oh, no, both teams needs to get the ball. Mm-hmm. When Kansas City played Buffalo, they were going back and forth. I mean, they were, Kansas City was scoring, Buffalo was scoring. Then all of a sudden, they go to overtime, right?
Uh-huh.
Who gets the ball?
Buffalo.
No.
Oh, excuse me, Kansas City.
And they win the game.
Uh-huh.
Do you think he's mad about the rule now?
Oh, yeah.
You see
Absolutely.
what I'm saying? But just imagine if Buffalo gets the ball and Buffalo scores, they might not win the game. But for them getting they might see that. Yeah. But see the reason why I'm saying that, and you're disagreeing and I'm disagreeing, because now there's drama involved. But then now you have both teams they get the ball. It takes the drama and the suspense out of it, because if Buffalo has the defense that everybody's talking about, then show up in overtime and stop them, get the ball, and you win. So I understand there's pros and cons.
But didn't they play defense for 4 quarters?
No.
Yes, they did.
They was getting scored on all day long.
I mean, but what also you can look at it and say, well, of course you're going to get scored on with an offense that good. Because Buffalo has a pretty damn good offense, too.
They do. That's the point.
So they should have gotten an opportunity to score in overtime.
But what if Buffalo gets it and they score?
Buffalo wins.
See, they have the same equal chance to get it.
Chris, no. This is the best product that they could put out in the field.
It is. I can't. I hate it. And darn gummit. Can you say darn gummit on the radio?
Yeah, you can say that. That's allowed. Predators on the road tonight at Buffalo. Without further ado, it is time for Predators game day.
It's Hockey Night in Smashville.
Deflects back for Duchesne. His shot stopped, and the score!
What are the keys to victory tonight? What's being said in the locker room? Where do the Preds reside in the Central Division standings? Jared Stillman has the latest now. With Preds Game Day on Stillman and Company. Brought to you by Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville. This is Smashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Predators on the road at the Buffalo Sabres. Puck drop at 6 o'clock tonight. Preds currently sitting at 39-24-4, good for 82 points and 4th placed in the Central Division. Buffalo, on the other hand, been struggling as of late. 24-33-11, good for 59 points and 6th place in the Atlantic Division. But I mean, this point in the season, it's a grind just to get to the playoffs. Here is John Hines. We'll take it to the coach's take on Buffalo.
They've got points in their last 7 games, and they're playing some pretty good hockey. And these are teams too. They have a lot of younger guys, and they're in the stage in their season where they're playing down the stretch here, not for the playoffs, but they're all excited. They have energy. They're in the NHL. They're trying to make names for themselves. They're trying to set their culture up for next year. So that's why this time of year is the hardest hockey, because you either have teams in those situations that have a lot of energy and they want to finish strong, so there's a strong motivation there. And you also have teams like us that are either fighting for playoff position or in the playoffs and fighting for home ice advantage. So everyone's playing for something at this point.
And John Hines put it in the best way that you possibly could, in a very nice way of saying Buffalo's not playing for the playoffs because this is not going to be a playoff team. But the Predators are playing for something at this point in the season, currently sitting at 4th place in the Central Division. And that would be the most opportune spot so they wouldn't have to play Colorado in the first round of the playoffs. Colorado looking like the absolute best team in the league. But at this point, Colorado.
Yeah. Where am I from? Colorado.
Didn't you say that you're going to move there today on April 1st?
No.
But Colorado currently looking at the best team in the league at this point. So 4th place, Predators would avoid Colorado in the first round of the playoffs. But at this point, the Predators are playing for the most opportune spot. So Buffalo, not a ton to play for at this point. So the Predators on the road at Buffalo. But that is going to do it for us today. That's it.
Man, I had a blast. We don't even need Jared, do we?
I don't think that we do.
I love Jared, but get out of here, buddy.
That is going to do it for us today. Caroline Fenton,
Caroline.
Chris Sanders
Appreciate
in for Jared Stillman today. Predators game day up next. Predators puck drop in Buffalo at 6. We'll see y'all on Monday at 2.